What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the FNtasia podcast. We got the regular crew back with you once again today. How's everyone doing, gentlemen?
Well, we're all like.
I was waiting for someone else.
I was ready for one of you guys to start.
I thought Rick was going to
politely, whatever. Okay, all right. Let me do this. How are you, Harry?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm doing good. Enjoying the new season. Enjoying the competitive players complain about it. You know, with a gun game not being able to shoot their guns. But apart from that, no, it's been good fun. It's been good fun seeing everything happening.
Oh, good. Resub, how you doing, my friend?
I'm too awesome. I'm not even going to talk about Fortnite for this second, but I'm moving flat. So I'm moving out of this end of the hallway we're in. So this maybe next week, maybe the week after, depends. Maybe the last time I'm going to be in this corridor whilst we do our podcast. So I'll have my own room, my own little studio finally again.
Rather than sitting here. Money is what you're saying.
Of course. Yes, of
course.
7-bedroom
penthouse.
7 bedrooms. It overlooks the entire London. If there's an escalator up to the sky, it's fucking... it's lovely.
Not an elevator, but an escalator.
Escalator. No, it's not fast. You've got to go really slowly up there.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I'm moving in my house as well, so I'll also have a different background. So,
oh my god, it's coordinated. It's so planned. He's moving into my house as well, guys. So we're getting a studio together. You know, it's gonna be so cute.
I was actually potentially almost gonna do the show from your house today, but that changed. I was supposed to have somebody come over and like do some stuff, so I didn't think I'd have a setup because I was told, like we're gonna need your room, so you're gonna need to disconnect everything. And the guy messages me in the morning like, I'm running late. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then it gets to like 12 and like I call him, no answer. Call him again, no answer. And he's just bailed on me. So
fair enough.
Great.
I realized I said that and then I would have absolutely no way to host you in this podcast live with the current setup.
You can free app, so.
Yeah. I mean, you could just, there's like obviously the end of the corridor. You could just sit here and we could just share the mic and one headphone each, you know?
I'm down, bro. Like next time, like why not, bro? I'm down. Boop, how you doing, brother?
I'm pretty good. We've got a little bit of a stylistic change as well. That's pretty much been the main topic of conversation in my chat. Arguing with a bunch of 15-year-olds whether or not I have a good hairline or a bad hairline. It's great. It's been fine. Just. All I gotta say is for anyone that has any comments, just wait until you turn 20. I'm watching.
What was the conclusion of the conversation?
My conclusion was like it's fine. I think it's a normal haircut. It's a little bit short, but like you only have people like Pink coming around talking about hairlines. We can't throw rocks from glass houses or whatever the saying is. You just wait until you turn like 22, and then it's gonna start thinning out a little bit. We're not Blood X territory left, so no trips in Turkey booked yet.
Okay, that is actually what I wanted to know, whether or not you were booking a trip.
You want to know that? Why would you want to know that?
I was just curious, everyone kept saying, like, I kept getting people messaging me like, Boop's going to Turkey. I was like, what?
You want to say something?
No, genuinely, man, I got nothing to say.
Just curious.
Got nothing to say out loud,
Out loud, keep it to yourself.
Out loud. No.
Yeah, well, it's good to have everyone here. For the people who don't know, I will be wearing a Manchester United jersey on everything for the next couple weeks, so get used to that. FA Cup winners 2024, let's go.
Does that mean anything, or
it means something to Harry and the people in chat who watch football? Okay. Yeah.
No. Are you gonna bring this up every podcast now? Is it just gonna
just this week? Just
point at the badge the whole time, like
kissing the badge as you're going along.
Yeah. The jersey will stay on for like a couple weeks, but like I won't mention it past this week. But yeah, essentially we have a lot to talk about because the new season dropped. For the people listening, I saw somebody in the chat saying, "What's this podcast about? Is it just a yap sesh?" Yes.
Yeah.
It is a yap sesh. But we do have things to talk about. We got obviously the new season lined up. We have roster mania, so many new duos, a bunch of EU NA hybrid duos we're going to talk about, a bunch of new duos in EU and NA to talk about. We obviously have DreamHack coming up this week. Like a lot of your favorite pro players are going to be flying out by the time you're listening to this. If you're not watching it live, a lot of them will be flying to Dallas to compete in DreamHack qualifiers to play in the Esports World Cup in Saudi later. So we'll talk about that a bit as well. And we're going to talk about some furries because there's a lot of furries, and Reese really wants to talk about the furries. So
clearly, yeah,
loves them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if he loves them anymore, but anyway, yeah, that is what we got lined up for today's show. Before we get into the action, though, again, just want to say a big thanks to everybody showing their support. The last 2 episodes of the pod have gone crazy. A lot of people watching, a lot of people enjoying, a lot of people giving their feedback. And yeah, keep showing love on like Spotify and Apple if you're listening there, and we'll be sure to shout you out on the next coming apps, because yeah, we got to show love to the audio listeners. I feel like we're quite rough on the audio listeners sometimes. You know, we don't really show them much love, but we do have you in our hearts and in our minds.
I think we sound sexy enough though.
Yeah, we make up for it. Yeah,
I think that like you know maybe they don't get the full experience, but they get a full sensory overload, I would say.
For the audio listeners, when we were talking about my hairline, it's actually like perfectly straight. Just don't go to YouTube. It's like, you know, it's like
full head of hair.
Young, it's almost an afro at this point, like 16-year-old, like it's great.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Let's get
visualize.
let's get into the new season. Chapter 5, season 3 is here. And everything is going crazy. This is, of course, the summer season update, right? So, you know, we predicted it, you know, last step that this was going to be a crazy season. And we were definitely very, very right. This season has been insane. In terms of some of the big changes we've seen, we saw a whole revamp to the south side of the map. We saw the introduction of, you know, a bunch of different sort of items like the nitro splashes, the nitro fist, the slurp cacti on that south side of the map as well is like a really prominent part. You know, we lost POIs like fencing field that's been replaced with nitro dome. We've had, oh my goodness, so many stuff, new medallions, everything. In terms of just going through some of the new changes, what have been some of the things you guys have seen that have been, you know, of interest for you guys? How do you feel about that sort of south side of the map changing so far?
It is I'll quick go. It is a little bit OP in comparison to the north side of the map. To put it a little to dampen it down a little bit, it is just when so much has changed in the south side, which just buffed it when it comes to farms lobbies, when it even comes to open lobbies, just at the top level, and then most of the north side not changing at all with the meta we're going into as well. I feel like Epic may have, I mean, it's an understatement of the century. They might have overdid it a little bit, you know. They might have overdid the map changes, and especially to me, the slurp cacti. I think when it comes to grand finals, I think if you're not landing somewhere with a slurp cacti, you aren't playing to win, in my opinion. I feel like it is so hard with how high the thresholds are going to be for Surge to do anything in comparison to teams who can pretty much run around in the open and just trade Surge.
Yeah, pretty much the exactly same conclusion there, where we already know what slurp plants and slurp cactus look like. You know, we saw a global championship, we saw it around that time in the end of chapter 4, and it's just insanely grief. You know, there's dubious trading of Surge, even if like there's like goods trading where you just have DMRs and you can just trade back and forth. There's those questions around like, is this predetermined? Who, you know, what's the strategy going on here? Have people been discussing this, all this kind of stuff? So it always looks shady regardless. So like, we're going to see the exact same thing. And I think it's going to be even worse. Again, there's more cactuses. The map's more open in the south. And now on top of that, there's like DMRs. So there's like even more potential to trade damage. So yeah, those teams that land in the south are going to be way more ahead in terms of Surge. And if you're anywhere else, good luck.
Yeah, 100%. I think we'll get into, again, like some deeper conversations about like the implications for comp. In terms of just like you guys' experiences of playing these things on more of like a simple casual level, like talk to me. You know, obviously we've seen a big change of the cars in terms of like the way they have the boosts and you know, the amount of HP they have, the attachments you can add on, right? You drive around, you like hit these little boxes that give you different attachments. There's obviously like the new rings that you go through. I don't know what the official name for them is.
I've been calling them the fiery ring, so that you could say I fisted through a fiery ring in one sentence. Just
good to know where your mind's at. Always good to get an insight into
just
the mind.
In case.
Unappealing way of describing that, honestly.
Yeah. Because you're looking for call out.
I was hoping for. I was saying more like nitro holes. You know, like that.
That's worse.
That's worse. That's definitely worse.
A fiery ring of fire.
Nitro hole isn't better.
Nitro hole is better than the fiery ring I'm fisting. Like, come on. That honestly, like we're talking about comp, like you said, a little bit, but I think this is one of those seasons that's felt one of the most divided between the casuals and the comp scene, right? We have seen many a 30,000 liker tweets quoted from prominent, I mean not that prominent, but pretty prominent members of the community making tweets about things breaking or like the nitros jumping into boxes and stuff. It's divided, and I wonder if we are at an iconic point in like Fortnite where even the casuals want split loot pools now for ranked and pubs because they want to have the fun fisting and nitro and ramming into people, and we don't want to get fisted like that either. And competitive.
I think it's like the first game I played was a solo rank game, and got off spawn, 5 kills. I was like, we're chilling. This is fun. This is world record pace for me already.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And then I spent 11 minutes chasing a guy around in a car, and it's like. He was just running. I switched to the turret. He's now distanced himself. I catch up. I've weakened him enough. He switches to another car. He heals it when he goes past into one of these boxes. It is, from a solo rank perspective in particular, I think this is the worst meta ever. Genuinely. It's not even close that there's like a worse meta than this for ranked.
I don't think in trios it's much better though, or in duos.
Well, I was about to say, at least if you play duos, trios, or squads, you're in a car and you can shoot them back. Doesn't mean it's good, but at least it's like at least there's something you can do there. It's by far the least competitive meta ever, and obviously that's a main part of the massive discussion that is ongoing as we see. But it is so shit. That's just like that's it. It's just shit.
It just doesn't feel like Fortnite anymore, though. Like no. I think I played 2 hours of ranked while waiting for like scrims to watch or something, and you're forced to sit in a car. You don't shoot, you don't build, and you're just constantly just getting ran by 5 kids, probably on like a 70-inch TV on their Xbox, laughing their ass off because they're having a great time, But like for us, like I'm not playing Fortnite, I'm playing Rocket League.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy, especially when you get into trios and once people start to figure out that all you do is you have one person drive, one person in the grenade launcher or, with the machine gun, and you have one person with the repair tool. So then your car never breaks.
Sounds like you have experience. Like
we played against it. We played against it. It was not fun. Yeah, it was.
There was literally like 2 guys just poking their heads out the car, just like infinitely repairing while the one guy drove around. It was like the worst thing ever.
We shoot down to like 500 HP. They drive around the circle, come back, and it's full HP. And we're just like, okay, there's no experience. It is the least interactive experience I've ever had playing Fortnite. I feel, as you've all said, it isn't Fortnite. Your goal is to land in a car or get some fists and some nitro splashes, get in a car, upgrade your car, like we're, in GTA or something, going into a modded shop, and then just drive around with it. It's nothing even close to Fortnite anymore.
And I think like looking at if we're going to dive a little into the, the casual versus the competitive side of this beef, it's like, when I'm reading through a lot of the tweets that, the massive 10, 20, 30K liker tweets.
The furries.
The law of the furries, yeah. I'll mention that specifically in a second. But like when you're reading through these, a lot of these people are not even casual Fortnite players. They're like just gamers, and they come on to play Fortnite when the new season drops and whatever. They're like what I would classify as giga casuals. Like when you read the opinions, they're clearly people who like don't have the slightest comprehension of how an actual Fortnite game plays out, right? Like a good example would be when you're looking at the Nitro Fists. Or not Nitro Fist, sorry, just the Nitro just running through. Have you seen that one clip where there's like the players placing like 10 walls and the guy's just running through every single one of them? There's like a 20,000 like quote tweet of that. And the person just says like, see, you should have just shot him back, like L spam builder. And it's like the idea that this player's 70 HP and he should aim duel a 1v2 is just like there's no comprehension of how you should like even play the most basic level. Like we're talking like players worse than the people you see in chapter 1 season 2, right? And it's like what I didn't realize is there's actually a lot of these people, obviously, as we saw like Big Spikes, but 2, that these people have like a genuine hatred for a building. Like it's not that there's it's not that it's just like, oh, I'm bad at it, I play zero build. It's like there's a huge amount of people who actually hate building, and I have never seen this much discourse on it in my life.
It's insane.
So the thing that I will say about that is that that what I realized about that, like with many things on Twitter, is that's actually just like a very loud minority.
Sure,
because
100%.
it reflects in the player base. More people play builds than zero builds. Like if this like war against builds and building was like as real as these people make you feel it is on Twitter, there would just be more people playing zero build, but it's not. But the thing that you know that's interesting about that, Reese, is that like it's really disturbing to me. Like a lot of these people genuinely like, you know, I'm sure a lot of these people acknowledge like building is like the thing that made Fortnite like what it was and cool, and it was this fun new mechanic that we didn't have. But for a lot of them, it's just like, yeah, but you know, the sweats made building terrible. They just build too much. It's like that's like their mentality, and it's actually kind of scary when I see this. I'm like, you guys can't be real, you know? like it's just, like, how are you real? You know, I read some of these things sometimes, and it's just it's so frustrating. And you made a good tweet about it, Reese, that I like really resonated with, especially from my experience of playing it. Is like you can acknowledge that like it's bad, while still acknowledging that you have fun doing it. You know,
100%.
Like,
yeah.
I remember that first game when it clicked for me, Harry, and Miniminer that like we should just triple fist into people's boxes and just spam it. Like we were having the time of our lives in that one game.
Fun, bro.
So it was so much fun. Then you step outside of it and you go, "Whoa, that is insane," and we should not be able to do that, right? Like you can do both, but I feel like a lot of these people don't realize that like. Just because a pro is saying, "Oh, bro, this is busted. Like, I don't want this in comp," that means that like they're like directly saying to you, the casual who's having fun, "F you." No, that's not what it is. They're just saying like this is clearly too strong and shouldn't be like this for competitive.
And all these people also are doing it in ranked mode. Ranked. It's like this is what we're playing with in a ranked mode. I'll keep saying it again. You know, this is not like pros going to pubs and fighting like absolute NPCs. It's like this is scrims, tournaments, and ranked that we're having this discussion about.
I swear the discussions on Twitter now almost feel political. You know, it's like it's two sides of the spectrum. Like they're fully attacking us personally just for an opinion on a video game. And I think the core issue of it probably comes from the way that Fortnite does their matchmaking as well. These are the type of people, and I know these type of people because my parents play Fortnite too. Right? Yeah, so they love playing Fortnite. You know, they're 16, they're like 50 years old, but like they love playing Fortnite. And you know, they beat down in Fortnite, they get like 15, 20 kill wins, but they're playing against literal NPCs. Like they're playing against bots. Now, these bots aren't fisting you, you know? These aren't the bots that are ramming you into cars. They're shooting oh my god, they're so bad, they're missing every single shot, you know? These are the people they're playing against in pubs. So they think it's not that bad. I'm ramming them with my fist. I'm shooting back. But they're like in this echo chamber of bullshit because they have never played against a normal person in their life or a real human being, and they think they're them.
Yeah, the main thing that I found entertaining is when we're getting those players giving breakdown VOD reviews of clicks and what he should have done better in that clip. They are giving step by step what he should have done, what he did wrong, what the shots he missed, and we're getting full VOD reviews from casual players now on Twitter. And to me, it is just look as like towards the casual community, it's. You know, you can't really blame them for feeling this way because they don't know better. They don't actually understand at a higher level, like, why this is bad. They just play and have fun. And they're like, oh, I did this and I countered this bad player. You should just do the same thing too. They don't understand there's more to it than what they just see. I just think we're in a situation where, as you said, Boop, and I don't know how we're not here, is how do we still have the same loopholes? I cannot believe we've had competitive now for 6-7 years. And we still have the same loophole as pubs. We had this problem back in Winter Royale with the blade. With the sword. Yeah, it's literally like we have the same problem, and we are still in a situation now where we're having to either cater to the casuals, and the competitive scene is awful, or we cater to the competitive scene, and the casuals aren't happy because the game feels stale for them.
My favorite tweet from this weekend was that Pink reply to the guys like, "Why? Oh, now that you can build, look what you can do, motherfucker! I want a zero build land." It was so good. It's like, get fucked.
That's class. I think to respond to what you're saying, Harry, again, it's just that problem of it is genuinely just a loud minority, man. Like these people make it seem because they are what Reese said. They are the bigger casuals. They're not. Most of these people aren't actually like Fortnite players. Because what I found when I was scanning through, because I was genuinely curious to get like more of the casual sentiment, and when I was going through, Reddit, right, whether it be the comp Reddit or the actual just Fortnite Reddit, the majority of the threads I was seeing was people who were saying, "I'm a casual Fortnite player. I hate this season. All my friends have stopped playing. They don't like this. Us people who play Fortnite regularly, just casually, don't like this right now. Like it's so AIDS." So it's like, I don't even feel like, that's why sometimes it's even hard for me to be like, the casuals don't get, because I feel like a lot of the casual players are like, no, this is like I'm not having fun just driving around. It doesn't feel like Fortnite, right? It's like what a lot of these people are saying. I don't know. My experience of it has just been. Let me play the clip. Let me show you the clip. Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the clip, man. This has been my experience of this. And we can keep talking over this, because I don't want to play too much sound or anything, but my experience of this has been, yeah, man.
Oh yeah, I love this.
I got trapped in a bunker by a guy with the rocket attachment on his car. Can't do anything. Just stuck inside.
Have you tried using your own car, Levin? That was your mistake. I mean, there's not a car down here, so this was a mistake.
Clearly just not shooting back. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah. Why are you not trading with him?
What's funny is I had a car, right? but before this, right? Before this guy showed up, my car, I could hear another guy in the car destroying my car. Like I could hear him like crashing into my car. And my mentality was sort of just like, it's whatever, man. I'll just get another car. It's like a million of them on the map. Anyway, that guy leaves. This guy pulls up, and I'm just like, yeah, man. This is GG's.
Casual Twitter would look at this and be like, yeah, you're 30 minutes into the game, you don't have a single kill. Well, obviously you're gonna get bitched in the bunker. Like, what are you expecting, man? Like, you deserve this.
Kill check, bro. Kill check. Yeah, clearly I wasn't fragging hard enough, bro. It's just every kid I went to fight just jumped in their car and drove off, man. Like, what am I supposed to do, bro? Like, you can't find anybody, bro.
It is bad.
But yeah, I'll spare you of more of that. That did continue for a bit. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. There's been a lot going on in terms of the game. In terms of then getting more into the competitive aspect of some of these changes, I think some of the big ones, when you look at just how it's impacting, the map and the way things are going, is I don't think we've ever seen a season like this where just all the best teams are just landing in like the same area. Like that South side is just claimed by every single like top 5, top 6 team, and I don't recall a season like that in a while. Like usually it's a bit more spread out everywhere.
Maybe like the Stark Island, like with where it was super elevated, like maybe that north part had a little bit like that, but
there wasn't 15 teams.
Yeah, 15 teams. Yeah, I mean it's just such a discrepancy towards north and south side. It's like you have everything that you need there. There's no reason not to land there. Medal, anything. But I went into everyone's landing classy now, so maybe that doesn't actually reign true.
I wonder why is everyone landing classy though? I've not
good POI. It's just been like it is quite good.
I asked this question on Hotline FN yesterday, shameless plug, and Canada said that it was because you see Classy now has like the
Ring?
gold, the drone. Yeah, no, it has the drones now. You get the drones.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. So it's like the Mongrel split from last year, like how it used to be. And he was saying that was the main reason a lot of pros, and those drones are better now. Apparently they give you like guaranteed like free weapons or something like that. Like apparently they're just much better now. I never like jumped in and tested myself. I've not like shot any of those drones in the games I played.
Opening a Syrian just to check here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's what Canada was saying. So yeah, I guess that's why everyone's sort of hyped up about that spot. If I am
that's always pretty good though. Like there's always been
fastest metal in the game.
Metal, like always good mats, good enough loot to get, as long as there's not like too many teams there. So
yeah,
and I'm guessing that ring also helps as well. So having that ring, having good metal, guaranteed loot.
So one of the things that I want to finish off with the casual versus competitive conversation, if we're going to move on from that, is like I think we saw numbers spoken about with like player counts, and I think apparently this was one of the player counts where it is the lowest amount of players that have ever played a new season before. And I think it's interesting like to think about what the future of this game is, especially with updates like these, because it seems like we had a massive boost from OG Fortnite, and we had like the biggest we've ever had before. And then it goes down, it goes down, it goes down. and then we're gonna have OG Fortnite again at some point in at the end of this year. Do we expect like a similar sort of thing? Like, how far is this cycle gonna go of like boosted by OG Fortnite, goes back down and dies out a little bit, boosted again, and then dies it down? Like, how many nostalgic seasons do we have left in us?
I think we had a similar conversation a couple like weeks ago, and I think the sentiment was like, when OG Fortnite happens again, there'll be a boost. It won't be as big as the first boost.
Yeah,
and it's like that will just keep happening. If they're gonna keep doing this cycle, like that is just what's gonna happen. It's like eventually you like wear it out. You wear out the effects of it. It's one of those things where it's like, what do you do to keep these people in who clearly come back? I think the obvious answer is like, let's just not get too crazy with things, you know. I respect and I appreciate like the creative, you know, freedom that they feel they have and that they like to explore things and try things. But a common theme that I see people saying this season when it comes to their feedback is just, this just doesn't feel like Fortnite.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think Epic definitely clearly want to redefine what Fortnite is and what does Fortnite feel like. But ultimately, when it comes to just people playing BR, you know, they have something in mind that they want, and it feels like we just don't get that after OG. It's like OG happens, we get that for a bit, we're happy, we all play it, then we lose that, and so a lot of people just stop playing.
But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, to me, like when you think about Fortnite and what made people love Fortnite was, you know, obviously the building aspect, but it wasn't insanely overcomplicated. It was guns and maybe some mobility here or there, and that's it. And I feel like, just to say about it, it's like they are overcooking way too much every season with these new mechanics and these new ideas, and it feels like it feels like they've forgotten what makes Fortnite popular, what creates people playing the game for a long period of time. And it feels
triple
like they are
edit one pumping.
Yeah, triple edit. That is it. That's all we need.
Oh my god, more addictive than any drug you could ever imagine.
Not grenade launching someone with a car.
You've tried all of them.
I've tried them all, man. I've not yet succeeded in a triple edit one pump though. So
that's
maybe
the hardest one to try.
It's just crazy to me because as we're saying, it's like OG season brought players back obviously because it's the OG map, but OG season was good for a lot of players because for like the lower level players is you're not having good players just, you know, as a drive-through with a fucking car with a spike bumper on it and a grenade launcher on it, or you're not getting fisted, or you're not getting your builds just ran through. You're just, you know, you're building your box. I do it. Yeah, hate it. But you're just sat there playing what Fortnite is, which is a battle royale with the building edition, which makes it a good game, not Fast and Furious.
To play devil's advocate to that point though, I think our memories can be, you know, fickle sometimes. I strongly recall one of the biggest criticisms of OG season was people going, this is AIDS, everyone just runs away. I remember it was so bad. Like trying to fight people in OG season, it was so bad because it was like, they had like those the rifts, I think those shockwaves as well. And like everyone just always had a rift and shockwaves. So you tried to fight people, instantly run away. And so obviously this season is different because it's not just people running away in cars, it's people just destroying you with cars. Yeah. But like, do you think it's more than just like the actual meta itself? Because even in OG, we had a meta where people could just run away from you and it was just hard to even like fight people a lot of time because people run away. Like, is it more than just the meta?
It is. I think the thing is though, like it is more than meta. Every season people just run away. And this has been a problem for like 3 years. Fundamentally, most people are just pussies. like
people are pussies.
And I mean, reality is like if you go in ranked, that either they're gonna W key to shit out you, or they're literally running for their life. It's one of the two. It's like there's not like a fight. Maybe we disengage. It's like we fight to the death, and I go next, or I'm running for my life. And that has been the same thing for like 3 years. So it's like, I don't really think it's meta. Like right now, of course, people jumping car to car. But as you say, back in OG, it was rifts. It was shockwaves. Like shockwaves have always been annoying since like, I can remember in chapter 2 for that reason. And it's like, I don't know if it's because people want to play to win a ranked game, to rank up. I don't know what this is like in pubs, or if it's just because they have this idea that I just want to win rather than I just want to like play out this game and try and fight.
I wonder. Lego Boop.
It's a balance, but like I guess when they make the game and they make every single season, it's a balance of okay, we know people are gonna fight, people are gonna W key, and there's gonna be slightly better skilled players in every single lobby because one person has to win. So we need to come up with ways to counter those people to some extent, but also make ways that are not too overpowered to counter people. And so far, the countering has been doing a lot of the winning in this cases, right? Like with the chains, with the fists now being added. Like I think the casuals, like you want to feel rewarded when you're playing the game as a casual too, right? Like winning a game feels fun, but do you really have fun winning a game, smacking into people driving cars? Maybe for a little bit, but it doesn't feel that rewarding, I think, because we used to take Snapchats of our victory royales, like shit was crazy back in the day. And, I don't remember the last time I cared that much about winning.
Yeah, that was my biggest point. I got like 2 points on this. One is like about the feeling rewarded. Like that's how I felt after the first day of ranked. As 11 said, we figured out. You just get triple nitro fist, you punch into people's boxes, and it's fun. But you leave the game, you get however many kills you get. Like, did I actually even do anything that game? Like, I felt like my brain was just turning into mush, just spamming left click, jumping in box, not even doing anything. But the second point is like on your ranked point, Reese, about like, are people playing to win? I wonder, like, I talk about ranked all the time. If an overload revamping of the ranked mode can help for at least just making it so people know whether in ranked they should play to win. If the ranking was hard, or you got better rewards, or if there were tournaments for higher ranks, so people actually had to play for placement, or if they made it so it looked like okay, you are just going to play this to fight. And I think that would help a lot. But right now, ranked is in the weirdest spot ever, where no one really knows what you're meant to do in it. You go, you get your rank for like plat, and you get to be able to play every tournament, and then you just stop playing it for most people.
I wonder if the play pool, how much has grown up since the start of Fortnite. Like, because Epic obviously has that data, and they love data. It's an inside joke, but they love their data when it comes to making decision making. But how much, like, what is like the average age of a Fortnite player now? Like, do they enjoy this type of gameplay? I don't know.
I mean, they must. Something must be showing them that is the case, And I think the one thing that we are subject away from is the fact that look at the numbers in pub. Like out of us, like we don't play pubs almost at all. We also don't play zero build a lot, and that is a massive percentage. Say the amount of people playing FNCS, in the first season this year was like 1 million players or something like that. And I think there was maybe 8 million players in this season, so you could say like an eighth of players are competitive players. I think that's probably a fair assumption to make, that play tournaments. So some people will play ranked, not play tournaments, but I think that's probably a safe assumption. That's a large percentage that we are kind of extracted from. I don't really know what their opinions are, their age, what they like, but that is something that Epic knows. And I do wonder if this is just basically like we're just going to cater to like the massive percentage as much as possible, and as you've mentioned, just overcook it and see what happens. As every single thing, the start of every season, everything's always overtuned crazy to start with, and then it calms down a bit anyway as the season goes on.
Yeah, I was just
looking I wonder if that's the state.
I was just looking at some like the player count here because you were talking about it. Is this the closest build and zero build has been in pubs for the longest time? Like, it's right at this moment in time, it's 400,000 players on build and 300,000 on zero build.
I mean, they're the same playlist.
Yeah, it's basically the same game right now.
Yeah, it is. So most people, I guess, most people just want to play zero, but they might as well. But that is crazy to me. That is the closest I remember. Obviously, ranked is completely different. No one really plays ranked zero build like at the end of the day. But that is like actually the closest I've ever seen it for Fortnite.
Yeah. I mean, it's because genuinely, from a pub's perspective, there's not much point in playing builds. Like why would you? Genuinely, like you can fight on spawn and stuff. If it's the end game, like there's no end game. Like even if it's like it's not a final 2v2, it's like if you don't have a car, the other person does. So
it's tough. I guess again, if we're moving the conversation forward away. Oh, Reese, I didn't give you a chance to mention the fairies, bro. Come on, tell us about the fairies. Give us your insight on the fairies.
There's no insight. I just thought this was so funny, right? Because I've been making a lot of tweets about not about furries to start with, but just about like the balance of the game and things like that. And they've gone semi-viral, which is pretty awesome. And what I've been noticing, I've literally been reading all of the comments and all of the retweets, every single one, because this is something I want to discuss in a future video. So like I've been spending a lot of time going through the comments, and anytime I see like a really strong opinion, a lot of the people, like I mentioned, are very anti-build. where they're like, oh, it's spam builders, good, you competitive players suck, you're finally getting a taste your own medicine, right? And the amount, I always check those people's pages out, and I know maybe not over 50%, maybe that's a bit of a large assumption. There's a huge percentage of these people which are furries, and I was just like, this is so strange to me because I have never once. There's no one in the competitive Fortnite scene or even in the scene I've never once clicked on someone's page and seen a furry before. Yet now it's like they've just spawned from nowhere.
It's kind of hard to build with pause, man. Like that's why you're playing zero build at this point.
I know. No hate to the furry gang. Love you guys. Keep your shit opinions coming, boys. But I was just like, it was so strange. I just popped up and I was like, surely I can't be the only one who's noticed this. And now I see a Vert's tweet yesterday. He was like, why is 50% of these Fortnite casuals furries? I was like, okay, clearly this seems to be a trend out there. So,
well, I've already seen in chat for the people who don't know. Right, people are asking, "What's a furry? What is a furry?
What is that? What is actually the definition?"
Levin knows a lot. I think.
What I would say is, don't click on their pages.
They love
drawing. They love drawing.
They love drawing. I've seen far too much graphic imagery this last few days that I had no intention of seeing whatsoever. So
you thought the only
your For You page on Twitter now,
bro. Yes, indeed. It is cursed. I'm gonna have to start searching something else, mate. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's looking grim. So thought that was funny. Yeah. Keep coming with their shit opinions, please.
Somebody said I think Reese is projecting.
You just kept clicking on your own profile. You're like, where is this furries coming from?
Look at all this graphic imagery. Hold on. I mean, I am sitting down. You can't see me tail. Don't worry.
Tail.
All right. Well, moving forward. So, have any of you guys done you've all watched some scrims of new season in terms of the way things are playing out for comp? How do people feel about things?
Not a lot better. After our conversation, it's not a lot better. It's just different things that are overpowered. You know, we talk about the casual and ranked, it's cars, even though, Fist and Nitro are still overpowered. It's in competitive, it's the slurp cacti, where you actually are just, if you land at the south of the map, you're going into endgame cap shields, but also 1,000 above surge, whatever, because you're just sat in the open trading. Or when you get to endgame, you've got the mythic bow with unlimited ammo on high ground spraying you for the entire game, and you run out of mats in 2 seconds.
Yeah. So I've been watching, I think I've watched at this point maybe 12 to 14 games of scrim so far in the last 2 days. So I've seen a lot of souls being drained from the players playing the games, right? Like they're playing a perfect mid game for like 20 minutes, and then did the cylinder and half waiting for the zone to rotate. All of a sudden, 2 motherfuckers come in with the nitro and just bash into the box and kill them, and then you just see their face going like, okay, there you go. Like, and then we saw Swizzy like the resub clip where he just bashes into 4 people's boxes and just kills everybody. High ground retakes with fists. Many people getting fisted, 1v2 fisting, 2v1 fisting. It's a lot
of fisting going on.
It's basically research For You page. That's it.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. It's a little less hairy, but yeah.
Oh man! Hey, your tweet was killing me. So you're like, what are the casters gonna say?
Bro, it's so set up. Like the first game I played, I was like, oh, I've just fisted someone. Like one of the first sentences I even said playing this season, and it was in my immediate thought. I was like, how are they? It's not. How are you going to avoid it? Because I know, like, cast and analysts, they can avoid saying that, but I just want to see, like, the way you guys worm around it. How
but this is my
it'll
thing.
be the first word that'll come to your mouth, and you'll be like, punched, pulverized.
Okay, but this is my thing, right?
Mm.
And this is from the POV of a caster, because a lot of people genuinely are wondering like how, but I don't know yet. So maybe somebody from Epic is going to shout at me after this and say, no, don't say that. But in game, it's called the Nitro Fist. So if you use it, you are Nitro Fisting. So I don't think as much as there's the sexual connotations that come with that, but if they didn't want those sexual connotations, they just wouldn't have named it that.
They would have named it gloves.
Yeah,
exactly.
the gloves.
They could have named it Nitro Gloves. So I think
I'm telling
we're
you
good to say fisting. I don't know. That's my POV.
Just don't do it
It's
at the
good
edge
to
of the
see
map, right?
Wait, what do you?
Edge of the map.
What do you don't do at the edge of the map? What do you mean by that, Rizzo?
Boys.
Oh, edgy.
Oh.
I think someone said edging before on broadcast. I was watching NA last week.
You are listening out for these things.
I'm like edging mentioned. Edging is mentioned.
You have a notepad with all the timestamps.
I mean, dude, the audience is growing up. We got fizz and jizz. We got fist.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like Epic know what they're doing, bro. They made the fucking Flowberry Fizz. They know what the hell they're doing.
That's why furries love this game. It's so inclusive, you know.
Honestly, right? Yeah, nah.
Everyone's cup of tea.
If nobody from Epic wanted me to say that, you know, Cammy's getting fisted on low ground, then they shouldn't have named it a Nitro Fist. I'm just calling it what it is in game, bro. I'm calling it what it is in game.
The funny part is when we were on broadcast, or at least when I was broadcast, they send you like that list of words you can and can't say, and like some Epic employee is gonna have to say fisting in that list as well. Like no fisting, please. Or maybe they say encouraged. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I don't think we get that list anymore because someone was saying edging apparently. So.
You just say it and then you get fired. That's it. There's no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. I watched scrims myself as well. Shit was just crazy. I don't know. It was like low ground and mid ground looked impossible because you just get fisted. You get bloody people nitro fizzing or dashing through your boxes. But high ground also was just AIDS because people were fisting all the way up there as well. Landed like there was like a million teams playing for height. Yeah. And like the thing that was really interesting, you know, for me is that everybody clearly understands that like the fists are like katanas, right? But the problem is because of this, everybody's doing like a cosplay of Queasy and Veno from, you know, Chapter 4, Major 2, which means it's not effective because it was effective for Queasy and Veno because nobody else is doing it. So height itself, like height has just been like terrible. Like in the scrims I watch, is like, you know, you can play a game perfectly, you make what you think is the perfect height take, and there's just like 14 other teams fisting above you, and it's over. So should be a fun season of comp.
So what you're saying is you can't play the end game. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
so
just
low
play.
ground's not possible, mid ground's not possible, and height's not possible.
Yeah, just don't play. Don't queue. Yeah.
Get to 50-50, you're like, all right, we did enough here. Then
We did enough.
And go next.
The thing is, we have the bows now. That's the one counter we've seen. For those of you that don't know, there is an item at Nitro Dome. Nitro Dome?
Yeah, it's Nitro
What
Drone.
the fuck?
Is it an R?
Yeah,
it's called,
yeah.
I think it's called Nitro Drome. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's avoid.
That's Mandela effect.
Yeah.
I promise you, it was called Nitro Dome when I loaded it.
It's literally called Nitro Dome. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
but it's a dome shape.
I don't know why. We're overcomplicated, but yeah, there's a weapon at Nitro Dome that basically does 140 damage to walls after it explodes, and just like 3 damage through walls. So teams are using that plus the infinite ammo that you get to basically just secure high ground. You take high ground with that bad boy, you spam those things down, and there's not a single thing anyone's done. Every single game we've seen so far with the team with that bow and a height has won that game. So, you know, that's something else to look forward to why, you know, we have the Fist National low ground.
Yeah, Epic, they just thought to themselves, explosives were bad enough and competitive. How about we give them unlimited explosives? And
one team
can choose a player and make them lose 1,000 mats in like a second. If in 50-50 you are the chosen one, your game is just over at that point. You are getting bowed and fisted and fucking nitroed onto. It's insane. It's ridiculous to watch this, man. I watch Canada and Cooper play, and every game they're 1.5k above Surge. Every single game. And it's not, I'm not sat there like, wow, they're making insane rotations to get all this Surge. They are just, Canada is just sat there running in the open, not even aiming down the sights, just shooting down Surge bases, shooting third parties, and just getting 1,000 Surge for free.
It's funny though, because it's clearly, bro, like I don't think we have to have much conversation about the bow. It's clearly busted. Infinite explosive bow just doesn't even sound like it's balanced in any universe. But the funny thing about it that thankfully someone in chat said, I think it was Tim in chat mentioned it. That's a great point. If they nerf the bow, which you think they eventually will, Nitro Drones like loot is not guaranteed at all. It's like the only spot that has like no guaranteed chests. So it's like if they nerf that, the spot is low key just terrible. Like you're just gonna land on sticks and stones in most games. It feels like.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what do you guys think is the most broken spawn on the map now? Because we've seen a lot of people claiming stuff, and we've seen like Peter Van Poyo take Redline. We've seen some pretty decent teams try to go Shark, classic course. What do you guys think is the best spot?
It's got to be Redline.
Oh, I think
Brutal.
Brutal.
Really?
Oh, so
I wanted to say something differently. I think I don't actually think many of the POIs are actually that
This guy's gonna say classy. Oh.
No, I'm not gonna say classy. I'm not gonna say classy because
Queasy lands there, obviously.
Yeah. No, I do actually think from just for the average player, I think that dock to the southeast of the red line break. I don't know if you've seen it. The it's the slurp truck, the launch
like 21 chests.
Yeah, in it's loot in 1 minute. You get cap loot and you can just push red line break instantly. I don't think the new POIs are insane. It's just, as you said, it's if you nerf the medallions and the mythics they get from the POIs are pretty shit, to be honest.
Yeah, the mythic. But I think what you basically said was the best POI or the best drop spot is the one where you can then just push into what is actually So it's like Redline, the AR from there, which is weird that it's a combat assault rifle, given the combat assault rifle is literally not in the game. I feel like they accidentally added the enforcer instead of it. The enforcer AR is in here, and I swear they were just oh, well, this gun shit, we'll buff it, and then add a mythic, and then they just put the wrong mythic in by accident because it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But infinite shield recharging up to 75, only team with that. You also have 220 DPS AR. Just if you pick that AR up, go into creative, shoot that thing at a bot, and tell me that is not the most busted assault rifle in the game.
No, that is the best AR ever. Just from using it twice. I remember the first moment I picked it up, I was in disbelief. I was like, what? This can't be real. What am I holding right now? No, that was crazy.
So why do you think Brutal, though? Why do you think Brutal's better than that?
I just think Brutal, I was thinking more from a comp POV of the team that has the ability to infinitely nitro dash, or just the player, so because obviously you can't share it, but just the player that has the ability to infinitely nitro dash into any box they want is just winning FNCS if it stays like this.
I'm pretty sure you can share it, by the way. I think you can drop it to your teammate.
When you drop it, you lose it. So
I thought it had an effect at standby.
Wait, I was just gonna say, are we talking about this with the explosive bow not being nerfed, or with it being nerfed? Because surely then it's just nitro drain with infinite ammo and the mythic bow.
In theory, I guess it's nitro. Yeah, right now you'd say nitro drone probably. Yeah, actually.
Mid-map slurp, cacti around, just spray everyone with the mythic bow is...
The thing about the Nitro coin, though, the coin that Levin's talking about, is that I have seen teams fuck up with Nitro. Oh, come to me, box up. And this motherfucker just runs into the box, breaks the whole box, and keeps running into the box and breaks the whole box again. If you have that coin, it's kind of hard to play box fights because you just end up breaking shit. Maybe that's a good thing because you.
But that's the problem. You shouldn't be playing to fight. You're playing to run in with your shotty out and just you're not fighting. You're just destroying. That's the problem. The mentality needs to shift. I get what you're saying. Maybe people aren't as clean with it, but just from what I've seen with it be done, the potential of it to me just seems ridiculous.
Interesting enough, it's been French teams that's been landing at that spot. So you just know what they're gonna do. Pre-edit ready, straight into the box, and that's what they've done. We've seen one. So the strat basically is one guy mid-game, mid-moving, comes in. The other guy just sits there holding his shotgun, and he's just doing
the mythic combat,
and he just shoots at the same time, and you just insta-kill people because there's 75 damage on hit.
I think obviously we're mainly looking competitive in terms of FNCS, but solos, brutal 100%. That's the grim gate of solo cash cups this season because you've got guaranteed mythic gloves, which I'm not calling them fists, I'm calling them gloves now with the extra charge. So now you can actually do the Queasy and Vino height retake because you'll be one charge higher than everyone else in the lobby. You've got mythic combat shotgun, which is the only shotgun you can just carry it in the fists and triple heals, and you've got infinite nitro at the same time. So it's for everyone trying to play solo cash cups and win a game, it's just you just go brutal. That's the loot that you need for this season for those teams who are going to drop 30 or players who can drop 30-40 kill games. I think there's definitely a lot of potential for that this season. I still think the reality is though, there's no way all of this meta stays in the same position with the balance, right? True. I know, what do you actually think is going to happen? Because I look at my head and this season there's so much broken stuff. If we look at cars and ranked, obviously that's one thing, but just looking at the specific comp meta, the three main things: Nitro, super busted; gloves, super busted; and then the infinite ammo bow. Like, where do those three things go when it comes to competitive? We're actually in a good spot.
I think for the gloves, you just have to. So, like with the chains, right? The main thing with the chains, obviously, they were insanely overpowered, but there was a bit of a cooldown after you did the combo. Like, you did the combo, and then you had like an animation which kind of made you stop, right? With the gloves, you get in box, you just spam, and there's no cooldown. It's just you do the combo, and then you instantly start punching again. If you made it so there was a cooldown after you did the triple punch, it would make it more bearable. Still wouldn't make it insane, I'm going to say, right? But it would make it more bearable. And also then reducing the structure damage as well. I think those are the main two ways you can kind of tackle it. When it comes to Nitro, I find it really hard to find unless you literally remove the structure damage again, because Reese, I saw your video and you made a good point. It's like, it is just like Peppers. If you just remove the structure damage, it's still really good and people will still carry it. It's just remove the structure damage as well, and I think that would be fine as well.
What about the infinite ammo?
Infinite ammo
and the bow.
Yeah. I mean, because it's which way do they go about it? Do they keep the infinite ammo so it's a unique thing they have and change the bow, but then they'd have to change the whole, like maybe not even the fight, that happens with the boss, because she obviously fights with a bow. Maybe they just make it so it drops just the coin and nothing else, or maybe like a gold or something else, right? But surely teams would just carry purple or gold or blue even bows as well with the infinite ammo. Yeah. It wouldn't change anything. So you have to then tackle the infinite ammo. But then we're just going to have the brutal coin from last season where the damage bump doesn't really do a lot.
Yeah.
The coin also has a bug right now where you can just spam infinite ammo. I don't know if you guys know that, but so you can drop your bow and then it reloads itself back down to 3 charges, and then you can reload it and you can get yourself double bow ammo now, so you can run double bow on high ground. But I haven't seen anyone do it yet in scrims. But yeah, there's also bugs with it, so I'm saving that one until grand finals to get it removed right before, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chain Hades strat.
It's interesting, Reese, when you ask that question, because, and I don't know this for certain, because I'm sure somebody will be like, "Oh, Levin said this, and he works for Epic, so he works for Epic." Which I
He's
don't.
on the inside.
I don't work for Epic, but like I feel like the trend that we always see is that things get nerfed based off of their impact, not just in comp, but obviously in like pubs, right? So I think that's part of the reason why we didn't really see Grimgate get nerfed, because it wasn't like crazy in pubs, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it was crazy in comp. And so when I look at all three of those things, I think like which ones are the most impactful in like pubs. I think right now the fists of those of the ones you mentioned, right? Like the fists, I think is the clearest and obvious nerf of anything coming soon. Because yeah, it's just insane. Obviously as well, I think the bow as well potentially, but again, I don't actually see that many people, like casuals, complain about the bow.
No.
It's hard to when you're getting driven over by a car.
Yeah, you're just driving. You're not using guns. You're just driving.
Right. So I don't see that many people. I do see that one still getting nerfed, just because I feel like when it is being used, there's like the clear complaint. I feel like a lot of those like things that are just infinite like use are gonna get nerfed. Like the infinite, like ability to use the rocket turret on the car that I showed earlier. Like all those like infinite things, I think just need some sort of nerf. I could see that happening. Weirdly, I don't feel like the nitro dashing gets nerfed that hard.
Yeah,
like I don't see a world where that gets nerfed that hard, because when I just don't know what they do that like allows it to keep its like USP of just being this thing that you run through builds of. Like I think no matter what, like that's the one I see staying the most similar to how it is now, which is why come grand finals time, I think that's the one that's going to be the most valuable, the strongest, because I think it's going to remain in a similar state. I
think
that's
like
where I'm at with that.
It'll be. I think I'm just predicting ahead. I don't foresee them nerfing the bow because it's like a counter to the cars for ranked, right? So I don't really see that really being nerfed. I see the option there really is just taking that out of competitive. It's an explosive. Like, why is it in? We never have explosives in competitive.
With blade through.
Yeah, with blade through, and you can wall replace with it. If you've watched DJ did a tip video where you can just shoot it onto a wall and just hold it. Like you could with rocket launchers and things like that. Like there's so many broken things you can do with it. I think it'll just be taken out. It's just ass, right? Let's be real. Gloves, like how do you actually nerf the gloves? I would love it if in comp you could just disable the attack. Like then it's still such a good mobility item. It's still so strong anyway. But I think the technology from Epic side probably wouldn't be there. And just reacting to quickly something in chat says if bow gets removed, nitro don't be so ass. Infinite ammo plus damage buff, like that's definitely
And
not
mid-map.
and mid-map.
That's still good.
Still valid.
A really good POI. And then
So,
I was just the last thing was just going to be is Nitro, where I agree with you. Like, I think reducing, even if you reduce the structure damage to 75, that's like to break like what's same as a pickaxe. That's still way broken because you can just phase into like every box if you weaken them enough, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know either.
So we have already gotten a response from Epic, according to the leakers, until what we want to do to fix some of these issues. Okay. So Hypix made a tweet yesterday, and the counter from Epic Games. So we had, we had the people complaining about the cars. Like these are things that are broken. Their counter is let's add a new heavy sniper with 3 times damage to vehicles. Absolutely cooking, Epic. Good job, guys. So yeah. Heavy sniper coming that does 3 times as much damage to vehicles. So we can look forward to that.
That sounds pretty good.
And it'll be in comp.
It'll be in comp.
It'll destroy every build. One shot.
Oh, brilliant.
Do we not learn anything from our past?
Oh man. Wow. Great news, man. That's really
you were.
I can't wait to jump back into solo ranked. Honestly, I'm so excited to get back in.
The summer Fortnite season never disappoints.
It never.
We are generally talking about their whole design for the season. How do we nerf it? Their whole idea, all their new mechanics, their actual theme for the season. How do we just get rid of it because it's not fun?
That's always a problem, right? When we have some of these conversations, it's like we're like trying to. I'm always trying to find a balance of like how do we keep these things, because people have worked hard on these things to bring them in. There's no way they just remove all of them. Like, that's just not happening if we're just being real. But it's like, it's like a lot of the conversation ends up being, let's just get rid of this. It's like,
it was like the movement when they changed the movement. And they were like, we worked 6 months on this. And everyone's like, what the fuck are we playing?
I'm just waiting for someone to come out and like works at Epic. Like, I'm so proud of the design I've done of this car. Like, me and the team week, like that. There's just no way.
I'm happy with the design of Nitro Splashes. I like being able to run through walls. I've been struggling to, it's for the high ping players. That's what we haven't thought about. This is how you counter it. It's like all these 60 ping Finnish players who are complaining about replacing walls. Now they can just run through them.
On top of the world,
yeah. I mean, they all just started cheating now, so like I think they don't play anymore.
But that's how we deal with the cheating problem. 2 in 1. Now they have no incentive to cheat because they can, take their walls now. Okay, before we move on, then I guess from like new season, new meta stuff, what is our agreed like loadout? What's everyone's loadout this season? What's like the most optimal to go for? I've been testing some wacky shit in some of the games I was playing. I was playing like SMG or AR fists, replacing my shotgun because I don't need shotgun when I can just fist in everyone's face. Nitro dash so that I could just run into people's boxes when I wanted to. And then double heal. That was my crazy loadout, but I don't think that's the most optimal. But what's everyone been running?
Gloves, 4 heals. That's all you need for solos. gloves, 6 med kits, 4 floppers, and minis. That's all fizz.
That might actually be a solo cash cup meta.
That's
the thing, in this current state, like you don't even. There's no point in taking a shotgun, and because imagine one of the things about the gloves in particular, say just in hypothetical to stay in their safe. Same thing with Nitro Dashes is everyone's thinking about them from an offensive perspective where you get onto someone else's wall. But what most people have forgotten is if someone gets onto your wall, you can just be so brain dead and just run at them out of your own box and straight out. There's a hilarious clip I saw from one of the players from Asia where like it's 2 players with Nitro and they're just running through their own builds and hitting each other with it at the same time. So like if you have fists, like you could still play defensively too and wait for someone to get on your wall and break through your own wall and hit them.
That was one of my favorite ways to use Hades last season.
Yeah,
it's like there'd be so many fights where I'm just getting absolutely shit on as standard, and then I just like remember when the guy's on my wall. Wait, I have Chain of Hades, and then I'm like, and then I whip it out and I just run full pelt at him, and you can, like you said, you can do the exact same with gloves. It's so good.
When Reese, I thought you were going with the Nitro Dashes or Nitro Splashes was like when you say defense, I thought you're going to turn 180 degrees and run out the box the other way, just to leave the box.
Well, that's a good point too, actually.
Well,
you're right.
That is for this season because the people that did like the wing flying strat are now back in full force, and they have figured out another way to infinitely fly in the sky again. So that'll be something we really look forward to. Which is it's gonna be my loadout. My first and 5 med kits for solo cash cups and just doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the actual. I was gonna. Sorry. What were we gonna say? I was gonna say.
No, I was just saying the actual loadout that we saw from like scrims this season, I think so far has been DMR, which is standard because everyone wants to carry DMR. You could potentially pick up a burst SMG for your duo because if you're below surge, you have the bailout items to get above surge, right? And then you have Gatekeeper Shotgun seems to be meta still. I don't think many people are actively carrying combat, although combats aren't
I think the
bad.
combat's pretty good.
Decent, but I think you always still prefer the Gatekeeper over it, and then obviously the pump is just sort of there if you get like a golden one potentially. Yeah. And then you carry fists. Many teams aren't actually actively carrying Nitro, as far as I've seen. Like if you find it and you have an inventory slot, you're picking it up, but otherwise your fists are valid. They have it. The recharge time on them are insane. Like you basically have infinite movement by the time you use your 4 charges. Your next charge is already really loaded up, and then double healing pretty much. And then I thought at least the first 2 games of scrims went to heal off, and then everyone figured out, when in doubt, fist it out, and then we just never had a heal out ever since. So no heal off required this season anymore.
Yeah, I think Yeah, pretty much. I think like the reason no one's using the nitro splashes is because why would you when you have fists? Like the nitro splashes, of course, you can use them to jump into people's boxes, but you can do that with fists. You can use them for rotations. It's like they're just all encompassing when it comes to rotations and aggressiveness. So had they not they just removed them from the game, like nitro splashes would be so good for rotations. Outside, I think in a world where our meta changes a little bit. Assuming things get patched, if there's like a bit smarter rotations, like Flowbreeze Fizz rotates are so scuffed. Same with even the Nitro Splash sprinting rotates, because if people do end up running combat shotguns, like you are just getting tagged every single time you want to try and do one of those. So I think right now, sure, people are running gatekeepers, but I think when it comes to more, if you're like an F6 Grand Finals, more in set lobbies and things like that, I think we're going to see more people use combat just to grief people on rotate.
Yeah, I also think the Enforcer is in a really nice spot at the moment, where I think for opens, that is going to be like the perfect middle ground between having no surge weapon and having to carry a DMR, which is useless in box. I feel like it is kind of fit perfectly the niche it wants to meet, which is, like a good medium range weapon, which doesn't really struggle. Even like, say, for example, you're in a set lobby and you don't get DMR, you get Enforcer. It sucks, but it's not like the end of the world in comparison to last season, right? If you didn't get a DMR last season, it was a huge struggle. But one other thing, the hand cannon is actually in quite a nice spot at the moment, as in the bullet drop off, like the trajectory, projectile speed and the bullet drop off. It's really, really good now. It feels quite viable to use. And there will be some people, obviously, because now on the Loot Island, you can get the Mythic one, which has 185 damage to the head, but with the extra damage, 197 to the head as well. So with the Nitrodome medallion as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some teams and players who are really good with the Deagle still carrying it, especially in opens, because to start a fight off with 150, 160 damage is going to be nice.
It feels more viable than with box fighting too. Because like, what do you even do when 2 guys fist into your box? I've seen people say, "Okay, let me try shooting back," and that doesn't really work. Going up a layer sometimes works. Levin, you can tell me about your experiences afterwards with that potentially.
No experiences, mate. No,
none at all. Okay.
No, I don't get fisted me. Never.
No, you.
Nah,
not your type of thing.
I
mean, it's something that
sorry.
Let's move on. So like like the Deagle might be some sort of valid way to like double pump. I guess you attack a guy in the face and you Deagle them, and then you hopefully kill them before they punch you. But yeah, that's an interesting point. All I know is like the first day of the season, I went up to the island to get the Deagle and got full clip by Tayson. That was my first game on.
Really?
Yeah. Legit, he was even streaming, which never happens, right? And fucking Tayson just comes in, Mongo classes me, and just kills me in the first game. So see, from that point, I knew the season was cooked already. So
yeah, it's hey man, that's hopefully we have next time we come and we talk about something has changed, because I want to go back to torturing myself in solo rank. This is like a different level of torture that I've not accustomed to. Should we talk about some duos? We've seen a lot of new changes.
This is fun. Now the season might not be enjoyable to play, but this has been fun to watch.
Yes, we have had so many new duos come into play. of course, this is Major 3. This is the last chance to qualify for the Global Championships in Dallas, Texas in September. And, you know, there isn't a last chance qualifier like we had last year. So there's less spots to actually go to LAN. I mean, everybody is scrambling to find a teammate that they believe they can get, you know, top 10 with, essentially, in EU and in NA. And in fact, what we've seen an insane amount of is a lot of EU players have been leaving EU to go and play in NA, not with like their EU dual partners, but like actually just playing with NA players. It's been very weird from what I think a lot of people would have expected when you initially hear, oh, EU players move into NA. No, it's like there's only about 1 or 2 EU duos who are actually going to still be playing with each other in NA. A bunch of players have been leaving. To list off some of the names of EU players who have moved already, we've had Veno confirm that he's moving to NA. Tayson's confirmed he's moving. Pink yesterday, as of the day we're recording this, confirmed that he'll be moving as well. Obviously, Paco and Mixon left last season. We have Yapko, Polish player, moving over. Blaha is now moving over as well. Kylie is going to be moving over. And then, of course, you know, the big Mongrel and Savage, you know, we all know that one's sort of happening, but they've not officially confirmed it, but we all know that one's happening. So again, loads of new players and loads of new duos. I want to start off by, you know, sort of, I guess, going through each of these new duos and getting everyone's thoughts on, like, what do you make of the duo? How do you think they're going to do? Any major concerns, all that fun stuff. I think the biggest one we've seen announced was obviously Veno moving to NA to play with Clicks. React.
It's a little less like seeing Messi go to like NA to play football, you know, because like there's actually still some pretty decent players in America, in North America playing that. First, I want to start off with saying, like, for the people that think this is because, you know, oh, we're going to go to NA because it's easier, maybe that's a part of it. But I think the main reason why is because everyone is going to Dallas in 3 days for DreamHack. And then, you know, might as well play FNCS there and qualify LAN while we're there. You know, might as well make use of that situation. Like, these aren't going to be players, as far as I know, that are going to be staying there, you know, maybe in chapter 6. Like, they're probably going to be coming back home to us very, very soon. But, like, you know, they're on loan right now in America.
Yeah.
I think all I want to do is thank all these EU players going over and taking the LAN spots from NA. It just is going to make globals that much more enjoyable to watch when we have maybe 20 to 25 EU duos on LAN. And that, for me, is all I'm looking forward to. Is the EU this season is nowhere near as interesting than seeing 6 to 7, if not more. We don't know if there might be still more that go over, and seeing how they perform. You know, we have always the talk between EU and NA, and we only usually get, you know, either 12 games or 6 games on a LAN. We get a full season of the top players from EU, and this isn't just like, you know, Paco and Mixon last season, where as EU representatives we all said is, you know, top 15, 20. You know, we didn't. That's kind of what you expect from them, but we are now getting teams who could win FNCS moving to NA. It makes it so exciting to watch.
I also think, like, you know, a lot of these teams aren't, say, let's just take from a ping perspective. In order to boot camp in EU, you've got to go to Germany and Jesus, and a lot of the boot camps are in like places in the middle of nowhere where you could, like, a lot of the people barely speak English. That was a lot of the experience of I know the OCE guys who came over here like last year or whatever. They came over, and they're like, the town they were staying in or the area they lived in was like, it wasn't very tourist friendly because it's not in like a major city or something like that. Obviously you could just go to a major city, but that's not the point. So like, if the opportunity just to go to like the US for a season, like, it's not only is it something competitively fun, it's just like they have life experience doing that too. There'll be a lot of like the Fortnite players around. There's a lot of like their teammates around and all that kind of stuff. It's like they'll probably have a bit of an easier time qualifying. We'll see, obviously, more than likely, because Eddie's ass. So I think all around it seems like just a decision that just kind of makes sense for a season.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with winning FNC. I mean, there's a few duos that in there, but I don't know if we have like a clear-cut winner of these teammates so far.
No, not winning, but in terms of like qualifying the globals, like
qualifying globals is gonna be a piece.
Yeah.
I think
like,
three of the duos could potentially win. I think there's three. I think
Kylie and Vert.
Clicks and Veno, Taste and Yumzo and Pink and Mirror. I think people do put disrespect on Miro's name. He is a 6-time FNCS.
Oh, you guys, hold on. You guys can just ignore me. I was trying to go through these things one by one, and you guys are just taking the conversation where you want to take it. Can we talk about clicks? Can we talk about clicks and Veno? Because I did start off by saying let's talk about clicks and Veno, and you guys just turned it into a whole general NA combo. Let's talk about clicks and Veno. Clicks and Veno.
Clicks and Veno landing at the revamped or changed Snooty Steps into Sandy Steps. It's that landing spot. It's weird because it got buffed and nerfed, obviously less loot, but now you're probably going to end up taking it as one full POI. Plus, you've got the Slurp Cacti nearby. The rotations are going to be good with the, fiery rings or nitro holes, whatever you want to call them. And I feel like for them, this duo seems to me like they're going to gel really well. I know Vino, there's all the stuff on Twitter. It's like, which FNCSs did Vino IGL? Which one did he not IGL? But in general, we know what Vino's capable of, right? You don't win 6 out of, as we said last week, 6 out of 8 games technically in the grand finals, and you're not still capable of winning it, a year later. You are still top level. And as we saw from Clicks, and I think surprisingly, Clicks gets a lot of disrespect, in my opinion. He didn't, like last season, not last season, season 1, chapter 5, season 1, he was the best player in Grands. He just had the best numbers. He was performing insanely well, and he was clutching up a lot of moments for them. And I feel like that people don't really put the respect on Clix' name that he kind of deserves, in my opinion. And I think him with Vino landing a spot like Sandy Sets, which looks like there's no real good NA teams now. Obviously, Center's now left as well. It doesn't feel like they're going to have many troubles qualifying to LAN.
I think also on that, well, firstly, I think this is Clix's best chance at winning an FNCS. Yeah. Let's be real. Like, this is not Vino's best chance at winning an FNCS, but this is Clix's best chance at winning an FNCS. And one of the things that actually makes me really interested about this duo in particular is when they were at the Global Championships, I think it was Bucky was saying that, you have all the Fortnite millionaires there all around in a group. And he was like, Clix is the only one out of us who actually cares about being here. And he's the one that, wants to practice in the room. He's the one that actually wants to grind. Like, there's clearly, obviously, Clix is a massive social personality, but there's clearly like a competitive drive there that's much stronger than a lot of the other players. And I think hopefully teaming up with Vino, like, you will see an actual crazy grind and maybe like a massive performance out of these two. I would definitely think this is one of their best chances to play. And let's be real, this is the best teammate Clix will ever get. Ever. There was nothing that will beat this ever.
It's also potentially his last dance, apparently.
I think that's bullshit.
Like, whose last dance? Who said
Clix's.
Clix.
He's Clix's. Apparently, it's Clix's last. We have that clip every single season.
He's trying to add more hype. He's trying to give he's trying to juice the storyline a bit. It's definitely not his last. I think the big thing with Clix and Veno that is clearly going to be a challenge for them is just the adaptation of playstyle. From the scrims I was watching yesterday, Clix just doesn't know how to play how Veno wants to play. Just straight up, he just doesn't know how to. And so there is so much to learn. Instant concern becomes, will Clix put in enough time and effort to learn what he needs to learn? My instant response to that would be, I don't know. Like, he's going to have to play scrims off stream. And he's acknowledged that, like, if I'm going to learn how to play this way, like, I need to play scrims off stream. Is he going to do that? Who knows? Again, early on, it's been that way. Like, I know he's been waking up to even play some EU scrims at time, right? Yeah. It seems initially right now, there is that motivation to put in that effort. But even with that being said, even with him putting in the effort, like, your first FNCS playing a whole new way, come grand finals time, like, again, it's just going to be tough. I think Veno himself is going to have to make some considerations of, he's going to have to try and strike a balance of playing the way he wants to play, but also understanding he has to play to Clix's strengths. It's why it feels a bit bittersweet when you say, Reese, that this is his best chance to win FNCS, because I think when you look at it on paper, yes, but I also don't think it's his best chance because this is like the one FNCS where like his mind is going to be almost the foggiest of any he's played, because he's constantly he's like having to think too much while he plays, right? Like, the style that like Veno wants to play, when we see it with a lot of Blood X teams with like, Cammy and Seti, in the past with Queasy and Veno, Taste and a bunch as well. Like, those guys, when they play that way, like, they don't really do much thinking. Like, they get it, right? There's certain things that they don't have to think about. Clix is going to have to actively be like thinking when he's playing. And it's funny because there was a moment yesterday in scrims, right, where they're playing Storm, right? Because that's something that these guys like to do a bunch. Clicks didn't know the medkit timing and had the medkit just died.
I saw this.
He
popped a mini before the medkit and just died.
And he just dies. And it's like, it was like the most drony moment ever. But I understood it because it's like he's thinking about so much other things right now that he's never had to think about while playing like a comp Fortnite game. And so like that like distraction makes him milk in a different way, It's probably part of why Archie ended up being like how Archie was, because he had all these like really smart people telling him how to play the game. But it's like it's an information overload, and then he forgets how to place a ramp. You're
saying there's too much going on in Archie's head. There's too many thoughts in there.
Yeah, not all good thoughts though. Probably not all good thoughts. But like on a smaller scale, Clicks is going to be experiencing that a lot, and I think there'll be a lot of times this season where they play and Clicks probably just straight up milks. And then how does he handle that mentally, right? Does he get frustrated and just, okay, no, I can't be else. I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to play this. Does he look and read the chat and the chat telling him, bro, like Venom doesn't know what he's doing, bro. This, that, and this will have, as crazy as it sounds to us, like I could already see seeds and signs of that, right? From his community, because you know how strong Clicks' community is. So I don't think it'll be as easy and straightforward. I definitely am rooting for them, and I think there's huge potential there if they can make it work.
I agree.
If Clicks just onboards everything, it'll be great.
Yeah, I think you're missing a crucial factor here, though, is that Veno solos that whole shit region. So
that is true. That is true.
Actually, what is all of this analysis? What is the point of this? How good is Clicks? Irrelevant in this conversation.
I mean,
the fun part about it is that Clicks needs someone to bitch him. I feel like Epic World was not alpha enough for Clicks. Like the IGLing back when they played together, it ended up obviously relying a lot on BloodX when they ended up playing together. Like Veno is hard bodying Clicks right now. He's okay, you do this, you farm this, you do that, and it's obviously because they're in the learning stages, and he has to learn a little bit more. But it's nice to have don't let Clicks think and let him just do what he does best and get kills, and focus on doing that. And I think that it's gonna be good for them, although potentially they may have been fucked by the wrong meta. I know Veno at the start said to Clicks, like, we're just gonna full send height every game because NA doesn't look at height. They're being conditioned by Peterbot and Pollo. But this is one of those seasons where height is a shit show. It's not gonna be as easy to play height. Mid ground's not gonna be easy. You can be the best team in the lobby, you just get unlucky because teams are running into your box. So they might play perfect Fortnite in the mate game. It might go well that way, but it's a very RNG type of season to where maybe the results don't actually show the skill that they actually have.
And I think part of the problem as well of what you say, Boop, is that yes, Clicks needs that IGL that one can bitch him, and two just allows him to just do no thinking and just kill. But Veno isn't that type of IGL, right? Like if Clicks is gonna play that way, he needs like maybe like an Acorn where the style that they're trying to play is simpler. Like there's a lot more white liners, a lot more. We're just gonna edge into zone and then you just kill. Whereas like at least from what I saw and from what I know about how Veno likes to play, like Clicks is gonna have to do a lot of thinking still. Like it's not gonna be as simple for him as just like follow the leader and then just like hold your gun out, which again could end up being problematic for them. So yeah, we'll see.
On that other point as well, for people that don't know, he is currently right now playing EU scrims, I believe. So,
nice.
That's 2 days in a row now that he's woken up for the early EU scrims. So EU scrims start at 3 p.m. local time, which is currently, I think, 8 a.m. Dallas time.
Yes,
so he's up for that. I think he's going to be playing the Noble X session after this as well. So he seems committed. And the good thing about it as well is like it's a short period until FNtasia starts. So like you don't have to like grind for a full month where there's nothing happening. It's a 2-week grind. Lock your head in and then see what you can get. And if it's motivated me to watch NA now.
Yeah,
like that's
100%.
like all
If anything, the structure of this season, as like crap as it is for most people, it probably works for them because, like you said, they don't have to wait for long till FNCS starts, and then during FNCS you have like a big break that will be good time for them to like learn and like figure out more things and like for them to input more things for Clicks to get to ready for grand finals. So yeah, might not be too bad for them.
I just want to ask, like, what is your prediction for them? Like, where do you think they're going to place on NA?
I think they're a top 10 team, like guaranteed in my eyes. That's how I like. It's always
Just
hard to
like
predict
just
things, but,
10th, or are you saying like top 5? Is it just
like what was Clix's like placement major one? Was it like fifth or fourth? It was fourth.
Fourth is the best ever placement, I believe. Yeah.
I think they're like getting like fifth place this season.
Okay.
Like I think they'll be in and around that like area of fifth place, maybe like a sixth, maybe a fourth again, and he matches his best placement. But that's sort of where I see them at.
Okay. Boop and Reese, what are your thoughts?
I already told you Veno solo clutching that shit, man. Of course they're winning. Like,
yeah, what happens when he runs into another EU team? They're like, then he can't.
I mean, they're only half
Unstoppable
EU.
force.
Yeah, it's only
They're
half
half
EU.
good, half shit. So.
Or the Polish.
Oh,
And there's not that many.
Yeah, Polish guys can't fight. So.
He's like the only EU fragger that's moved.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Yeah, he's moving. Everyone else is IGLs and stuff, so they've been good positions with their
Doesn't
shit
really
teammates.
count.
So it's like a total free 1v2 regardless. I would say, yeah, I think top 10 is I think like if they don't qualify globals, that would be shocking.
Yeah.
I think then the question is more how good do they get into the top 10? You know, I think top 5 is probably valid. You know, there's only like 5 good teams in NA. I think the real question is how good do like the other EU teams do as well.
I'm coaching you bias, by the way, and every single podcast you find
Reese
one minute
always
and
has-
Yeah, he
he's
slips it in there.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Reese
also-
is actually the most biased of everyone.
Reese said there's only
I just speak facts. So
I appreciate it.
True.
I absolutely appreciate
yeah,
it.
I mean,
Well,
I'm not biased. I just
Yeah.
think NA is shit. Like
You-
those are two different things, you know.
You also lied because you said there's only 5 good teams in NA. Now there's a lot more because of the
Well,
you guys coming.
sorry,
Obviously,
but
like-
now,
5 good players.
Well, now there's good 5 teams.
yeah, that was a good 5 teams before. It was
Yeah, before there was like 2,
Yeah.
you know.
So for me, I would like if we were coming in of like Katana season Veno when I think he was like at his peak prime, I think I would bet like a top 2 or top 3. But like, you know, Veno's also coming in with not like the greatest last season performance and previous seasons as well, right? He's being grinded, but he's not at a level where it's like, okay, he's the big one right now. So yeah, at 5th or 6th, I think would be an appropriate spot to put them at. But a lot can also go wrong. You know, there's the good teams that have called LAN all landing at the broken spots, which already makes you automatically be out of contention for like top 2 or top 3 when you're landing snooty steps, which feels very mediocre other than having forecast hour. So we'll see what happens when they get conned potentially. You know, there's teams looking at it also for spots.
So for me, I wonder how much for the teams who have qualified, and you know we've got Saudi coming up with the ESL. I wonder how many of those teams are like going to take this season. It's not like a break, but focus on ESL, focus on the game modes, and you know for the teams already qualified, like then it makes it so there might be a couple extra placements of Veno and Click's game because the teams who have qualified don't care as much, right? So for me, I would. If Veno can get to the level he was, or even close to the level he was before, I see no reason why they can't be top 3. I see no reason why that I think Clicks in season 1 was good enough to win Grands, in my opinion. And I do also think that if Veno can get back to the form that we know he can get to, then I see no reason why they can't be top 3.
Is Veno not in his form though? Like I don't know.
We can't compare.
Placements
I
wise,
don't know
it's
if
hard
you-
to tell.
Yeah, like I don't know if you can say that's down to him individually or down to the fact that him as his team didn't mesh with him and Tayson well.
But that's
blaming
the step.
Tayson.
But that's the same thing that comes into grand finals. It doesn't matter how you know, it's more about your meta region, about how you play Surge. And everything
Yeah, but
like that. We're
defining this as
Well,
like
you're talking
he's
about
not
his
in his
individual
prime.
level, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, sorry. So I say
And-
grand finals level at the moment, like as in how he's playing in grand finals, like
And,
meta
like,
reads.
I didn't watch him much last season, I will say, but the season before that, when they were wherever it was 10th or 15th, some shit like that. Like I watched a lot more of his individual performances, even just in like solos and some of them, like, and he looked still there was no
He's
difference.
still the killing machine.
Yeah,
that we know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't necessarily we can just say that. It just seemed like that duo as a full just did not blend well together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. I was more coming at it not as in like when I said like form, I was more thinking as in like grand finals. You know, like,
Yeah.
We have now had, is it 4? So it's obviously didn't qualify 9th in globals and then 15th or 15th. Well, they got last season 11th. So now that's
11th.
11th,
yeah. That's not like, you know, the
100%.
Veno, which is, you know,
It's not a Veno we know in terms of placements, but like you
Yeah.
said, a lot of that I think can be accounted for, you know, the teammate situation, some bad meta reads in some sense, right? I think in terms of individual level as as a fighter and confidence, I think he's still, as good, maybe not as good as he was this time last year during that Katana season, but I think he's still sort of where he needs to be. Plus, he's going to be playing on 0 ping now, right? Like he's going to be, obviously he had London ping already, which is decent, but it's not the same 0 ping. So yeah, I think they'll look pretty good.
Top three. I have faith. Not in faith, like they should. I just think they're in a good position to do well.
Just because Venom's not playing with Queasy. That's
he didn't even play with him the past 2 seasons. But no, yeah, it'll be like they're the most exciting team to watch this season, I think, by a mile.
Yomzo and Tayson, thoughts on those guys?
They're the second most exciting team to watch by a mile.
In order.
In order, literally. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. So Yomzo, I probably haven't watched as much as I should have, to be honest. Like, I think it's one of those things that obviously that he has been he's every season. It feels like he's in a situation where he could probably be in contention to win. Obviously, season 1 he had the DDoSing issues where they were winning, and then obviously got DDoS and that happened, right? But Tayson is, as we've discussed multiple times on the podcast, is coming off quite a few bad seasons now, and I wonder if this is, I don't know whether it's a fresh start or it's just something new, which can reignite it for Tayson. You can sort of bring that motivation, because he did play a lot last season. Like, we did see him in Noble a lot last season, but I wonder if this, going to NA, a new environment, new people to be around, will make him perform even better.
I do wonder, you look at a team like, again, we mentioned Vino, Tayson, and obviously they just didn't mesh well.
Yeah.
I wonder, if you put him together with a guy like Yomzo instead, how does that win? Because obviously, the reality is Tayson and Murstache, despite the fact you wouldn't think historically that their play styles blend well together, because Murstache is just insane and just makes some crazy plays at times. Yeah. And that worked out for them as a duo last year. Vino's made a little more calculated, so maybe some of those stupid decisions, don't pay off because they just don't make them. With Yomzo and Tayson, is that going to be the same kind of thing? Or, how do they blend well as a duo? I'm not sure. Obviously, 2 individually very talented players. Mm-hmm. But I would love to see another prime Tayson win, because it has been it's been a while now,
For sure. I think Yomzo is the best blend between the two of
somewhere in the middle
and Versace. Yeah, he's somewhere in the middle where it's you have someone who can be a killing machine that just listens to your every word, but he also has great understanding of the fundamentals, knows how to play the game the way you want to play the game as well. In the past, they played with each other, right? They have played with each other in some one-off duo cash cups, right? They came second place when they played with each other in duo cash cups in NA. And I remember for a long time, it was a running joke in that friend group that Yomzo and Tayson are going to one day play with each other. And it was always they have a really weird relationship where I think they as much as Tayson seems to not like anybody, I think there's a part of his, cold heart that loves Yomzo and likes playing with Yomzo.
Right.
So I think, from that perspective, I think it's a really nice combination. I rate Yomzo very highly. This time last year, when I say this time last year, I mean just more so Major 3 last year, I thought Yomzo was the best player in the world. I thought Yomzo, the level him and Rise were playing at, I thought Yomzo was the best player. I'm talking cold, and because last year it was the big ones in terms of individual level. Obviously, everyone would be it was Cammy because he won all the lands over. But in terms of individual level, the big ones were obviously Cold and Venom, right? Everyone was gassing up both of the individual levels. I thought Major 3 last year, Yomzo was at that same sort of level. You watch him, not just kill a machine, but just perfect decision making, at every given opportunity. He's not been at that level since then, but I think he's still, one of the top players in the region. And I think the combination of him and Tayson, is a great opportunity for, both of them to be pumped with some energy and some life, right? I don't know how many of you guys saw the interview Yomzo did on the broadcast last season when he was talking about Rise, and it got clipped up and put a lot on Twitter because everyone's is he talking about him like he's talking about a girlfriend? It was when you've been with someone for so long, you got to learn how to deal with their emotions and how they feel and what they like for breakfast and stuff. It was and everyone's bloody hell, these guys are talking like an old couple. And I think in many ways, what ended up happening with Rise is that it did feel that way, right? It's you've been together so long, things get a bit stale, the relationship sort of gets tattered in certain ways. Whereas now, like the chance to play with someone new, I very much think is just like a burst of life and a burst of energy that hopefully means for both of those guys, they play at the level we know they can. And if they do, I think of all the duos, they have the highest ceiling to be like the best
I agree,
duo.
yeah. They seem like a duo that would have like the best honeymoon period to start off.
Yeah.
Because Blood, he told me about this duo before it even got announced, and he was like, "Yeah, these guys are like the match made in heaven. They're like soulmates in that case. Like, they would have loved to play together, and now they finally can do that. Same thing as I guess like a girlfriend with Rises before, but yeah, that seems like there is this connection between them, which sounds very weird to say. That seems to be working out." And the interesting thing about it, and the way that it's looking like they're sort of the copy paste Cammy Seti, but now in NA, because now they're landing at the same spot that Cammy and Seti are landing at over at the Cammy split mid map. They were contested by Bucky until BloodX last night in scrims bitched Bucky off the spot and 2-0'd him on 100 ping and 33 years old or whatever, how old he is.
That's another 200 ping. Like.
That's the mental ping.
So like the coach is out there prepping the spots for them. And now we have two teams that are being coached by BloodX at the same spot. Probably sort of have the similar sort of play style. So it's going to be interesting to see the mirror action of those two duos on either region. Because, yeah, like Levin said, I think that duo, if I had to pick one of the teams, like we said before, like that duo, I think is the most likely to win the FNCS as a duo, right?
New duos,
of the new duos,
of the EU NA hybrid duos we've seen.
I mean, Peter and Poyo still exist, so obviously,
yeah. I think in terms of if we do again what we did like with the last one, if I'm rating them, they're the ones where I'd say very much more confident of like a top 5. I'd say top 3 because again, I don't think Clix and Veno would do as good as Harry thought they'd do, but I think Taste and Yumzo would be the one where I'm like, okay, I think if things go right for them, they can top 3 in NA this season. Yeah. Everyone else, where do you sort of have them at?
I'd probably
early prediction.
I'd probably somewhat agree. I think you made some good points about obviously the stuff behind the scenes that you said about obviously Taser and Eom. So it sounds like from what you said that it's been destined they are going to play together as a duo, and it feels like from what you said like their play styles will mesh, and obviously landing same spot Cammy and Seti going to have the same play styles Cammy and Seti. I see no reason why, as you said, top 3, even top 2. Like I think. With also the other side of the other top teams in NA focusing more probably on Saudi and on ESL, and they're having the motivation of something new, something fresh. I think, top 2 for me.
I don't have anything more interesting to add other than top 3.
Yeah.
Third place, solid.
So wait. If I'm just to recap, and again, I don't want to get you in any trouble here, Harry, but so you said top 3 with Clix and Veno, and now you just said top 2. So you think that these new duos are going to come through and just... Anyway, we'll talk more.
What did Reese say? What did Reese say? NA shitters or something like that? So, I think that's the way I need to say.
All right, let's go. Next one, Pink and Miro. That one got confirmed sort of yesterday. Loads of people were sort of hyping it up. A lot. I think Miro tweeted, "Need an EU goat to come and play here in NA," and every reply was at Pink. Yeah, what do we think of Pink and Miro? I'll start with you, Reese, because we've sort of rejected you a bit. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm as hyped about this one. I've watched so what I always find interesting about Miro's gameplay is obviously he's won so many FNCS. I've watched at least a game from every single one of them, and it's like his consistent play style is like, what the fuck is going on here? And then he gets a kill, and then they keep going. Like every single time I watch Miro's game, it doesn't matter who he's playing with. Global Championships was a great example where it's just like scuffed, messy mid games, and then it's like, oh, they're gonna die here, and then he gets a kill, and then they get refreshed, and it's like, oh, they're about to die here, and he gets another kill, and then his teammate will die, and it'll be a solo clutch, and they'll go to like top 3. There's like, it's like I've never seen a player who looks like they're going to die at every single point of the game and somehow doesn't, right?
Yeah.
It's your own gameplay.
Well, no, I do die. That's the thing, right? I wish I could not die as much as him. So every time I think about Miro, that's my immediate thought process in my head. So when I see him playing with a guy like Pink, who's much more calculated in the majority of like game plans, thought process, and things like that. I'm just not sure what that looks like, because that could be great, where you could be putting him into a great position in the mid game, actually having like a good early and mid game strat, like we've seen a lot from Pink and Vico so far. Or it could be kind of the opposite, where that's a weak link of Miro's and it could like pull the duo down as a whole. I actually don't know, to be honest with you. I don't have like a full conclusion on what I think about it, but I think it could be massively successful, where Miro could be like the most amazing fragger for Pink ever, or it could just be like not meshing well that as like a mid game and early game strategy at all. But then who knows, because they might just scuff their way out of the situation, as I already mentioned. So
right.
I wonder if. So obviously we touched on about Pink and Vika, and obviously we talked about last week about their struggles they had. I wonder if Miro, like, I do probably think the Miro is exactly what Pink needs. I think for when it comes to fighting, just someone to pull the trigger and either get in box or just have that sort of aggression. I know Vico is an aggressive fighter, but he's a way more controlled and a much smarter fighter. And Miro is still a smart fighter, but he will get in box. He will pull the trigger if it needs to happen, right? So Miro, as you said, has never played in every season he won. I don't think they've ever been the team who actually played the best Fortnite that season. But he always
arguably they could be the team that played the worst Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just Miro, because he has that clutch factor in every single finals lobby, which turns a 20th into a 5th out of nowhere. Right? And I think for someone like Pink, who will have, as you said, controlled and methodical Fortnite through the early and mid game, getting hopefully with a landing spot. I think now they're landing where Canada landed last season. That's where they tweeted. So hopefully gonna have better surge ideas in comparison to last season. But even having Miro on top to get those big impact refreshes when it needs, I'm low key excited for this. I feel like this is exactly what Pink needs.
Yeah.
Incoming group Pink hate. Let's hear it.
Whoa. I mean, after what he said yesterday about the hell on, I'm going in today, right?
There's some beef here. All right, let's get it.
Okay. So first of all, it's not hate. It's constructive analysis and criticism in this sense. But I do agree that I think Miro is a better version of Vico, in the sense that Vico is arguably maybe a better fighter than Miro, right? If you want to put it that way. But Miro has that confidence, and he doesn't need to wait for someone to tell him to do that, right? Vico is very accident prone, in the sense that he doesn't want to mess up and fuck up and ruin your game. So he's not going to take the risk that's going to put you in a situation to ruin your game, which is probably why, Pink probably dies first more in that duo. It's because Vico's not taking the risks that's required to potentially go crazy in those games. But if we're talking about Miro being the player that has that clutch factor and gets him out of bad situations, consistency isn't the word that comes to my mind then, right? Like the struggle that Vico and Pink had last season was consistency. If Pink is still IGLing in that sense, like the consistency needs to come from like a better and more solid game plan, and that requires a lot of work. And I think that can be mendable from the side of Miro, but I don't think this is like the overall solution and the fix to their issues. Like the issues come and stem further from that. But it's NA, so it's shit. So they'll probably get like top 10 guaranteed and qualify LAN. But I think it won't look clean. I think we'll have the same sort of thing that happened with Vico and Pink. Is that they'll have like an okay day, and then they'll win one game and then go crazy, and it'll make their placement on the leaderboard look a lot better than they actually are.
Where I sort of stand on this is I'm confident that they'll make it to globals. I'm not too worried about that with these two. I guess my concerns would come from what are they going to try and look like as a duo? Like what are they going to try and do? When we talked about Clix and Venno, we talked about the difference in style and the need for Clix to relinquish the past and commit to learning and trying to play a certain way that fits what Venno wants to do. I don't necessarily think that is the same dynamic here with, Pink and Miro, right? Where it's like Miro has found success playing a certain way. It might not be the most efficient way, most consistent way to play Fortnite, but he's found success with it. Pink trying to come in and try and show him a different way, there might be a disconnect there, right? Maybe if you're Pink, you sort of do the opposite, where you actually just try and optimize your game plan to suit Miro's strengths the most. Obviously, we know, the controller player surge narrative, I think, does get overplayed a bit. But there's no smoke without fire, right? And when we look at last season, one of the biggest problems for Pink and Vico was surge and what they were going to do for surge. Changing spots will definitely help. Again, that's one of those things I look at and I'm like, like what does that look like? I think if Pink sort of just plays more to Miro's strengths, then these guys can be really good. I disagree with you, Boop. I think Miro's a better fighter than Vico. Just from the angle of like, again, who's gonna run it down in the Grands lobby? Like, I really thought and I really had hope that Pink and Vico in Grands, even with the potential of them having surge problems, a lot of it would be relinquished by the fact that they just run it down on the team. And that didn't really happen. Like you said, there's a lot of fights where like Vico seemed quite timid, even though he's like better than a lot of the people he's trying to fight against. And then Pink ends up going down, and it's just like this really weird dynamic. I don't think that happens in NA one bit. Like they need a fight, they need to win a fight. Miro runs it down, and he's doing that consistently, and he's done that consistently for years now. And so I think these two, in terms of ceiling, I actually think they have a really high ceiling, like super high ceiling. I think their floor though is a lot lower than some of the other teams are talking about. Like I think things could start off a lot worse for these guys, depending on like what sort of mindset and whatnot they go into with. Another like angle that a lot of people are concerned about is like Miro notoriously isn't someone who's like grinding the game a bunch. And I think both of them need to be grinding the game a bunch this season because I'm confident they're cool, but I don't necessarily think it'll be like a cakewalk. Like I think they actually need to put in the effort this season. And so if they're not doing that, yeah, that'd be rough. So yeah, we'll see. We'll sort of see what happens with them.
I think Pink has been grinding a ton over the last year and a bit.
Yeah,
I don't know how much, like, sure. I don't know if he's like on and off, but it seems like he has absolutely.
Less recently, I would say. Like in the last like 2 to 3 months, like.
Yeah, but I think at least moving to another country is a big enough motivator for a couple of weeks. Realistically, it's like a month and a bit.
Short season again, helping out.
Yeah, right? I would be very surprised if all of the players that went over to NA were slacking over this month. It's like just the situation alone, the fact that they're doing it wouldn't even make sense. So to me, I'm not as worried. I think in that duo in particular, I do believe Miro would be more worried. But similarly, you think, well, he's got an EU player coming over with him, and I'm sure Pink would push him to play a shit ton more than maybe his previous teammates would.
100%, I agree. And to back up, to say your point 11 about where do I think they'll finish or place, I think it'll be like 7th, 8th. They're not. It's going to be. They will qualify to LAN. I don't think at this moment in time they're at the level of what I think Clix and Vino and Tasty Omso will be. But I do think they're going to qualify LAN, and what happens at LAN will be very interesting because, as you said, when you're at LAN and things are a bit shaky and people are nervous, way more nervous than they would be online in the grand finals, I think having a player like Miro next to you who has full confidence to do whatever is a huge thing.
100%.
Pink's LAN place was also good.
Yeah.
When the lights are bright, Pink and Miro succeed, right? So I think, and LAN, like they'll probably be one of the best LAN teams.
That's why I think their ceiling is so high.
Yeah.
I agree. They're definitely just one of the better potential like LAN teams, and I think they are good enough to get to LAN. So that should be a good combination. In terms of some of the other teams as well that we've seen, so Paco split up with Mixon, and he's playing now with Pump. If I'm being honest,
I'm not moved.
I'm not moved, man. I'm not moved. Hey, man. Hey, look, Paco, if you end up listening to this, because he ended up seeing the last pod when we were talking shit about Paco, like, I'm sorry, but like, there's no disrespect to you, Paco. Like, I'm sure you're a cool dude. Like, I'd love to get you up here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to get you up here soon so you can like defend your case. Like, maybe we just do that. Maybe next step we like. I agree. Maybe not the whole pod. Maybe we just get him in for like the segment where we do our annual Paco, shit talk.
Yeah.
I mean, on the bright side for Paco, it can't be worse than Pump and Enpen last season.
That is true.
Like these are the guys that left the Underworld coin because they thought they weren't going to get it in grand finals, right? At least they're taking the entirety of Underworld as well, right? So I think Pump is severely underrated as a player. That man 100%. Knows how to win games, and I think Paco, if he puts in his grind, he's a very good mechanical player from what we've seen. At least he surprised me how good mechanically he was. It's in creative. Like he was putting down like Peterbot even the 1v1s or something, I think, when they were playing. So like I think he'll have some potential, but yeah, maybe they get like 12th place or something, and then they'll make it through because the team's already qualified from LAN potentially.
Yeah, I mean, all Paco has to do to make me excited is win the first opens. It means nothing, but if Paco's win, if he wins open like he did with Vixen, I'm all aboard the hype train again. It doesn't matter about analysis or anything like that. I'm all aboard. But yeah, I mean, as you said, Pump is underrated. Don't get me wrong. I think from an EU perspective, no one talks about him ever. It's not one of those players that, unless it's kind of, we have those players in EU where only EU players and fans already know about them and talk about them a lot. It's the same in NA for a couple players like Pump as well. But I think probably a bit lower than when you're expecting them, Boop. I think they're going to struggle a little bit more to qualify for LAN. I would put them around 20th to me. I don't think they're, like out of the other duos that are there, I don't think he's at that same level.
Yeah, I remember we used to always talk about Trashy and Pump when we did like the NA broadcasts, because like they were always like a team that was guaranteed to just win a game like all the time, like when it was Trashy and Pump. I remember back then, like I never looked too much into their gameplay, so I never like knew who the carry was. Like I was always like, I wonder who's the carry in that duo. And based off of the recent placements, maybe you'd say it was Trashy. Right? He had a really good season last season, so we'll see. No, I definitely think Pump's like a more decent player than maybe we're giving him credit for with the natural EU bias here, but I'm still not expecting too much from those two as a duo.
I want to read this message in chat real quick because I think it's a very interesting mentality. EU is so overrated. It is better, but these guys talk about EU. How these guys talk about EU is a joke. With all the pros moving over to NA, Grands will easily be better. So you're basically saying EU is bad, but because they moved to NA, now Grands is going to be better in NA. Do you not realize how stupid you sound, man? What are you talking about, man? Jesus. Sorry, move on.
Yeah, I think he's done himself there. I don't know. I don't know how, like, without sidetracking too much before we talk about some of the teams, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I've been saying I think NA will be harder to call from than EU this season. Yeah. Like NA is like I'm more interested in NA than I am in EU this season. If I'm being completely honest, like I think it'll be harder.
I enjoy EU, and I am I can be biased occasionally, but EU this season is feeling very Mickey. I'm gonna be honest. Like you have all the best teams who haven't qualified going to another region. All our best teams, it's not like NA where there's a load of good players who haven't qualified. All of our best players have just qualified in the first two FNTasias, and if they're not, they're in NA. So the 10 teams we're going to be sending from EU are just 10 teams we're not actually going to be. Yeah, it's just
us
not
as a collective in
Europe.
Us as EU, but no, what EU will be saying, like it's just not the level that we'll expect. But we're taking NA spots, so it doesn't matter. It will figure it work its way out.
I think it's interesting.
Dud.
I
can't stop my stream if that happens. If they all dud, it's actually cooked.
That's not a timeline I'm ready for. Like if somehow like Tayson and Vino and Pink do not qualify LAN, like that is this podcast is stopped at that point. That's why it ends.
I just gotta replace you with like Comp Report, SPG. We're just gonna get full NA lineup and just fuck this shit, bro. Hey, next team, Quanti and Yapko. They're contesting at Classy Courts as well.
I think the silence says enough about that.
Yeah, next team. Who's next?
Yapko's pretty good in ESL, is what I've heard. So
Yapko's like one of the goats of right now in ESL.
And he was obviously good at zero build as well when it came to like Gamers 8 stuff. Yeah. Maybe he's just a Gamers 8 goat. Maybe that's what it is.
He's kind of the Polish in us, but yeah. Honestly, for this duo, I'm kind of hoping Quanti doesn't qualify so that we have the Oliver OG uprising again. Because Quanti's a great coach. Like when he coached Oliver OG, he was cooking. So like I'm kind of praying on his downfall just so we get another Oliver OG action in Grands this season. That's it.
I actually think that duo could be good. I know we don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but I actually think that duo could be good.
No analysis on it. You just think that.
No. So in terms of some analysis, like Quanti like is pretty decent off spawn. Obviously, there was the meme last season with them like conning like Peterbot and Pollo, right? But like Quanti's like a pretty decent off spawn player. I think Yapko's like really solid. Like Yapko's always been that type of player where I always thought like give him a better duo in EU and like he could cook. I think Yapko is like the perfect example of a player that probably is unlucky that we don't have trios as a game mode, right? Where it's like, I feel like Yapko would be in like a really good trio if we had trios still.
At some point.
Yeah. The only other one.
I don't think he'd be a Kaminseti because I think they'd go for someone else like a Venom or someone, right? But like I think he'd still be like in like a really top trio like that. But yeah, anyway, Mixon and Baha reunited, but on NA.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most excited about. Like, because they cooked when they were together in EU, right? Like they were like the power couple. Even though last time I said power, Crew's like, huh? What do you mean power duo? Like they were good when they were in EU, you know? Like they were consistently at the top 5 level in every single Duo Cash Cup. I don't remember where they placed in FNtasia Grand Finals because stats are for nerds, but like
17th, 9th, and 5th.
There you go, nerd. So like they felt okay. So maybe they do a lot worse in Grand Finals, but like NA Grand Finals, fine. So I'm actually excited to see how they do. You know, I'm actually they're like as close as we're gonna get to like Cammy and Steady going to NA as what we're gonna do, right? But like a little bit more frag heavy. So I think that duo has potential. But I think they're landing like bottom right split,
they are
like absolute slum. Right. So not sure how that's gonna work out for them.
I think I think saying their FNtasia finals placements are not great is maybe a little bit. Nah, that's what the fuck am I saying? Not doing it justice. Like a 9th and a 5th for a team who at the time had like no real expectations. That's really strong.
That's really good, yeah.
And I guess the only reason they split is because when the globals they dudded and placed 31st, right? So for them, they were on a really good trajectory. 17th, 9th, 5th, like that's upwards, and then of course LAN hits and they do crap. So like for them, I never even really understood their break and their split to start with. And maybe it seems like maybe they had a bad season, bad tournament, bad meta, whatever that may be, split them up, and then that kind of maybe messed it together. So I am actually very excited to see these guys get back together. And like, you know, they've proven in 2 of the 4 events that they're in a top 10 team to qualify already. And now obviously doing that in NA, I think things are looking good for them.
I like how the analysis from us is always like, yeah, these guys are doing okay. They're kind of mediocre, but then they're in an A. So like, you know, that does it takes away all the points we just made, and they're gonna do great. They'll be fine. Yeah. I agree.
Bladger and Mixon, as you touched on, Beeper's like, I'm worried about their landing spot. I don't know if that's a landing spot which screams to me that they're going to do insane well, like top 10, like as they got an EU 5th and 9th. That doesn't scream the same to me as in. I think when they played together last, they landed the vault south of the map. I think that was the vault like southwest of fencing. It was like the mansion. And obviously that's way better than where they're landing now. But I still think they are probably the 4th best team, as we're talking about. Obviously, I got clicks for Tasting the Yomsen, Pink and Mirror. I do think they will qualify LAN. I do think they'll get top 10, and it's exciting. As Boop said, I think this is to me more exciting than Paco and Mixer because you have the actual duo who popped off on EU back together and playing on NA. So there's no more like, they're not actually a duo, it doesn't really count. They are the real deal. It's an act like
but you could still caveat it. They didn't play together for so long.
We have the excuses ready already.
Yeah. Locked, or it's a bad landing spot. We got them locked ready for what happens. But no, I'm really excited to see how they perform.
I think the last one in terms of hybrid duos, obviously Mix and Baha weren't technically a hybrid duo, but they just moved to NA. Kylie and Vert. This one's a weird one. I didn't know about this one until yesterday. I wasn't too sure how or why this has come about. But does anybody have any thoughts on this one?
I think like Kylie always just kind of has a top 20th somewhere in a finals, like
I got that vibe.
It's like 20th to 10th. There's just like every now and then he's just there.
Yeah,
and I'm like, so
Vert as well.
Yeah, same with Vert. Yeah. So that's my analysis. There you go.
I'm analysis.
But yeah, I mean, it's
I do agree on that.
But it's to me, it's like after Kylie's last season, where I'm pretty sure he didn't even make the lowest, if I remember correctly, or he might have and didn't perform. But who did he play with last? He played with PKR, if I remember, Kylie and PKR, and I don't think they made lowest. And to go from that to play with Vert, I think is a huge bump for him. But Vert is a very good player. He is consistently performs on NA, and to me, I do believe they will make. It's not like even a question in my eyes. I do think they'll make grands, and how they perform, it's like this one's like the most up in the air. It's hard to say like where their level's going to be when they're together, but Vert does have the capabilities of qualifying to LAN, in my opinion.
I think it is up in the air whether they make grands. Honestly, I'm not sure. Like Kylie was the oldest player at Globals. The other oldest player at Globals was Persa, and he just won Brazil FNTasia's grand finals. You know, so that's a comparison. Accidentally, yeah, because 2 teams disqualified for cheating or something. So I mean, Kylie, he's sort of gone. He's on that trajectory where like he's done well, and then he's sort of slowly withering away. We can name many players. I mean, is that not wrong? Like his placements haven't been crazy.
It's not withering away. He's
dying, bro. He's 22 years old. It's over for him.
I think he's
hold on. What are we talking about 22-year-olds? Come on, hold on.
22 is the new 35, bro. Like, come on,
bro. 22 is not the new 35.
I mean, yes, it is.
I mean, Boom might be right. I've seen how you move in rank 11, so you know he might not be wrong on this one.
But like Kylie used to be the #1 scrim grinder, and he doesn't even play any scrims anyways anymore, right? So like, and this guy's tweeted 4 different job spots in the last week, pretending like it's a new announcement tweet, like every single time. Like me exiting in NA, oh, just here because I'm there because of Dallas. He's made the same tweet 4 times at 4 different spots. Like the
he's
man
doing
doesn't know
the
what he
teamy
wants
strat. That's why he's landing so many different spots. He's just leaking the spots he's doing.
I love Kylie. I think he's great, but I don't. I think ESL should be his focus, but for the when he goes to America, you know.
Okay. Well, Boop, I think you added this to the outline. EU visa. Are you snitching now, Boop? What's going on, bro?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I might be partially responsible for this tweet that I saw today because Ping made fun of my hairline, and I said I'm gonna snitch you to immigration afterwards. But no, that was not. It was just a joke in the moment. But someone made a tweet. I think it was Sphinx this morning, and he had a list of all of the EU people moving to North America, and essentially. We have American teams questioning the validity of people's work visas going to the US in order for them to not contest them in FNCS. So, you know, the list had Tayson, who was on the, he's valid list. He's a visa. We had Mixon, who was on the valid list. We had Venno, who was on the, yes, he has a visa list. And then there was question marks next to Tayson. Like, is he eligible for a visa to work in America? And Kylie was on the maybe he's okay list, probably because he's 22. And then the other guys as well, like they're on the hit list essentially. So I guess U.S. immigration might third party this whole situation.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how valid that list or even valuable that list could really be, given the second person on it is Muzz, and it's EU. It's titled EU player visa, and the second person is Muzz.
I didn't say it was a smart list, but
yeah.
I just thought it was funny to mention because, like, you know, this is the lengths we're going to stop the EU invasion. Is we're gonna get them emigrated out of America because they have bad visas.
shaking in their cowboy boots over there in Texas.
You gotta get like I'm gonna get like a soundboard, you know, like the FBI open up, you know, and like I'm just gonna start playing it in people's calls just to like scare them yeah, no, we'll see what happens. Before we end up doing a 3-hour podcast again, let's get to actually no, I wanted to talk about some of the new teams on our region, that because we've spent so much time talking about NA.
Our region.
Let's give NA. We've given NA more than enough credit. We've got a couple new teams on EU that are pretty exciting. Again, a lot of things still being figured out. I think the 2 biggest ones, or in fact, let's just start with I think what is the biggest one. Aqua's back. Noah Riley and Aqua playing together again. Good to see that. We are grasping for straws, man. All of our good EU players are either qualified already or leaving. We are grasping for straws.
The 6th Aqua return is our top story. Like, it's just like where we are the Mickey region. It's a point. It's like the bet. Like, I mean, Aqua and Noah, they'll probably do as well as they did last time. You know, it's
23rd.
Yeah,
and then the same as they did last time, which was 23rd.
Yeah, literally, it's just gonna be like, but they're streaming now. Aqua's now streaming. So there we go.
So
there we go.
Aqua's he's trying to use the aura card, I believe, in EU this season because he's landing on Malibu and Mustache, who are qualified on LAN, and Swizzy and Vanyak, who are qualified to LAN as well. So he's double conning Redline Rig, For some reason, they got 3-0 yesterday in scrims, unfortunately, by Vanyak. And the funny thing is, when Vanyak and Swizzy conned Malabuk and Murstache in another session of scrims, halfway through that session, they swapped duos.
Did that?
Yeah,
so they swapped around with each other?
Yes, they swapped around. So Malabuka was playing with Swizzy or something, and then Murstache was playing with Vanyak, and then they were calling each other and were like dancing each other. So there's some funky shit going on there, and I don't think Arco wants to be a part of it.
They are claiming the POI.
No, they're making it known. But this is also another reason why our shit's just Mickey. The teams who are qualified are just trolling. They're claiming the best POIs, and they're trolling on top of that. So it's like we're actually just so cooked this season. I don't want to keep holding it against Aqua and Noradi, but maybe you guys shouldn't be conning people. I do recall you getting, beat 1v2 or spawned by a certain level 2K with a pickaxe in hand. So I don't want to keep mentioning
where
it.
it was going.
I don't want to keep mentioning it, but if I was them, I would probably not contest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Aqua though. Good to see Aqua back. Always happy to have a season of Aqua, especially with this season's hype meta and Aqua just running it down on height every time. Like, I am here for it.
It's also nice because he doesn't half-ass it. Like when Aqua comes back, he grinds. He plays every scrim. They play every single session. Like he puts his work into it, and then he just disappears into the wind.
I wonder how much begging and pleading Noah did to get Aqua back. Because after Noah not making grants, I wonder if Noah, like literally the day after, it's in Aqua's DMs like, bro, we just take the best POI. You know how good we can be, and it's just like on his case. And now they're there. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think, it is for when it comes to you, this is about as exciting as it gets. So we'll take it at this point.
We got one more duo.
One more. I put Vico and Flixie in there because again, when you look at just like big potential duos, those two are a very interesting one. I know, Harry, we were talking about like sort of like the whole Raz angle of what he's been trying to do with his teams that I think is really interesting. Because obviously when you look at Flixie and Vico, you sort of have like, two very good fighters, people who you associate a lot with fragging as well. I'll let you run with what you were saying to me, Harry, because I thought it was cool.
You feel basically for Razan, I mean, he's kind of, this was before he obviously like lent into it on Twitter where he's talking about making Peter Bottom Poyo 2.0. All the teams he has who he coaches are just two fighters. Yeah, Pixie and Wox last season. Yeah, you now have Vika and Flix. You have Peter Bottom Poyo. You had Reason and Vidil. You have just two good fighters together, and you try and make them learn the game, which is, I feel like, what now he's trying to do with Vika and Flixie. My biggest worry is it's not the same aura type of landing spot. Reckless Railways does not have the same aura and this as Grimgate or Redline Rig or any of the medallion spots. That's where it could be a problem for me, where I don't even know if Reckless is that insane this season. And it doesn't have any fire rings nearby for good rotation. It's not really got it's always struggles with Surge a lot of the time. It's not been buffed in any way, which makes me excited for it. Vika and Flixie as a duo excites me. As now we've seen them playing in Noble, they're performing extremely well. And it doesn't feel like it. What? Yeah, but they are performing extremely well in scrims. But my biggest worry is if you're not landing in the sand, where's the ceiling of your performance? You're just going to have less loot going into.
You make ceilings and glass ceilings from sand. That's a great comparison.
There you go.
I just realized when you were talking about Reckless, you could tell me they added anything to Reckless and I'd believe you, but I've not landed there once. Like that whole outside of classy to land there because everyone was talking about the mythic auto. Like I have not landed in the north of the map once. Like I'm just like so
god awful.
Like you could tell me there's a statue of like Mona Lisa in the middle of Reckless Railways, and I'd believe you, bro. Yeah. Like I'd 100% believe you, but I had no clue what's going on there.
Yeah. Let's be real. Let's be real about this, guys. These are not Peter Bottom Poyo.
No, they're not.
They're not Peter Bottom Poyo. Let's not pretend that it's like a 2.0 and they're gonna fucking run through every cash cup, every tournament. I think it'll be good, and I think they'll qualify. But like, the kind of tag of them being the Peter Bottom Poyo 2.0 is just, it's it's more like
branding.
Yeah, it's branding, but it's like There's another word for that I can't try to think of. I know. It's not. I'm not going to say they're a counterfeit of them. I think that's maybe the right way to word it. But
no, I just say it,
man.
I say you just say it, bro. That's just funny.
So, whoever that was in chat, I agree with you. Fuck
Rebels Roost, yeah.
Like you think about it in the map, you've got the right side with all the pads, you've got the sand at the bottom, you got the dashes top. Like, what's Rebels Roost got? Like, realistically, apart from the 10 chests it's got, what else has it got?
Rebels has 0 aura.
Absolute negative aura.
No.
It's got some bushes.
Yeah.
We love bushes,
run around. It's got some trees as well. Nice refarm on the trees.
You can fish if you manage to fight the team who actually lands at the fishing spots.
But you can't fish it quickly anymore because for some reason that's not allowed. So we're not allowed to.
You can do it with a bow. You can fish with a bow.
Yeah, you can fish with a bow. You only get floppers, right? I think.
Yeah, you only get floppers.
So for the Vico Flixie thing, I think I'll use a comparison that Reese might like a lot. Is that they're like a Pokemon that'll hurt themselves in confusion most times, because they're
already an unrealistic.
Yeah, okay. My Pokemon comparisons were lacking. I was trying to up them, unfortunately. But
I want to hear the whole thing, but I sorry, I should have cut you mid.
Yeah. So essentially, Vico and Pink, I think, are gonna have too much confidence in the way that they fight that it's gonna hurt themselves.
You mean Pixie and Vico?
What did I say? Vico Pink?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been years now I've seen that.
You just want to hit on Pink more.
Like,
it's been less than a year, but it does feel like years.
It does feel like years, yeah. So Vico and Flexi, I think. So okay, so for comparison, they've already been banned twice from scrims now because they just keep W key and forecast out to the south, right? And I think for their own good, that's a good thing because they need to realize that just W keying and pushing teams in stack finals lobbies isn't going to get you the results that you want, right? Giannis and Flixie tried that last grand finals before this one, and it ended up kind of messing them up a little bit. So, like, trying to create an area around the map where they're just going to fight and push people might work a few times in scrims, but in terms of a consistent play style in a grand finals, it just doesn't feel like it's going to work too well for them, which is where it comes from the they're hurting themselves in confusion. It's like they don't know what exactly they want to do in terms of a playstyle, right? They have Razru now as a coach, I guess, but like realistically, a lot of the stuff that Peterbot and Poyo kind of did it, worked for themselves, right? There's not much coaching you can be done there except for like how you play hype. But the mid game, I think for Vico and Flixie is going to be super, super dangerous. And even though they've had great results in scrims so far, I'm not 100% convinced like they'll be as dominant when it comes to actual grand finals and stack lobbies. But they'll make globals. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
I think to counter that a little bit, I think the success that Flixie's had in finals has been from doing that when he was playing with Gripey in Chapter 4. Like that was a lot of the way that their success came from, and that was sure Janice and him tried to do that a little bit. But the reality is, like, Janice is not anywhere near good a fighter as Vico is. So I think they've already not had success. Well, from Flixie's perspective specifically, Flixie's not had success trying it the other way. So I think there'll probably be at least more success trying to be more aggressive in those games where, if you have a team who is two really good fighters, you have the massive potential for pop-off games, as we've mentioned a million times. So it just really depends on how many of those games do they confuse themselves and hit themselves in confusion, and how many of those games do they land the attack.
Oh, I like that Pokemon. He fixed it. He caught it. But I like what the guy said in chat. Like, how can Flixie still land Reckless after 3 times just having the absolute worst performances? Same as Vico, same spot, right? Like east side of the map. Like, if I was them, I'd want something new. Maybe they like the comfort of being on the same side.
It's also like you just get Uncon, too. Like you've had it relatively free for the last 2 seasons. Like you just need to play better.
Yeah.
It's like, would you want to go for a new spot, try and fight that for that as well? Like that gets way more tough.
Yeah, fair play.
All right, enough talking about Fortnite players, or at least in Fortnite Battle Royale. Because to wrap it up, we're going to talk about some ESL. There's not really much to talk about, but essentially, for the people who don't know, there is the Esports World Cup qualifiers, which will be taking place at DreamHack Dallas this week. And a lot of people have no clue what the hell's going on. Most of us didn't have a clue what was going on. So I decided we can take a little look here. Let me screen share this. Let me get this up for you guys to see. This is essentially the format. I'm pretty sure there was a mistake on the graphic, but, we'll talk you through it. So don't worry. Essentially, on Friday, there will be stage 1, which is going to be the Swiss stage. So no teams will be eliminated if you don't know much about Swiss formats, essentially they often just get used for like seeding and stuff. You can't be eliminated. It's like all the teams play against each other, and like you earn points essentially, which help seed you. There's going to be 64 teams playing in that, we believe, at least, because it doesn't make sense if it's 16 like the graphic says. 64 teams will play in the Swiss stage on day 1, and they're going to be playing for seeding for day 2. Then in day 2, once all the teams are seeded, it will be a double elimination bracket that leads to 16 teams who will qualify for day 3, which will just be a bracket, a 16-team bracket, best of 5 finals, double elimination again, until we have how many teams qualifying? I still don't even know.
We don't know yet. They haven't said.
They haven't said how many teams actually qualify.
So from what I've heard from people saying, apparently it's top 3 qualify to the LAN, but that's because they talk to orgs and orgs tell them that. But officially, I don't think they've announced it yet. All they know is the prize pool and the payments.
So technically, and again, like you said, a lot of these players will be talking to orgs, so they'll be finding things out. But technically, there's players flying across the world to play in a qualifier, and they don't know where they have to place to qualify. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that.
Exactly. So it's pretty standard, you know.
ESL, organization is, it's been pretty good for them. So
sounds about right.
Sounds perfect.
Sounds about right. In terms of like ESL, so I'm not gonna sit here and make you guys talk about ESL because there's not really much to talk about there. There were a couple of things that we did obviously see, of course, as we're leading up to it. A lot of rosters are starting to be picked up, right? I know we saw Heretics pick up their roster with like Nebs and a bunch of Nebs. Was it Nebs?
Nebs, Vortexes, Crizzy, and iDrop.
Yep, that was the lineup. Worst announcement video I've ever seen. And also their names in game are terrible. Their names in game, respect to Heretics. I don't want any Heretics fans to come beef me, but their names, there was no uniformity in their names. Like one person has Heretics lowercase, one person has Heretics uppercase, one person has TH, one person it was just a mess.
Can you bring it up? Do you need? Yeah, I've said it.
So this is also something that's an issue in Fortnite itself because we have the same thing with Camille Court. Yes. We have K Court Malibuca, KC Mustache, and all the other ones. It's just
Like what is this, bro? Like what even are these?
I mean, they're not paying enough money to make them care enough, apparently. So
I guess not. We also saw in NA the best team in NA got picked up. Exet. Clix's org. It feels so weird saying that, right? Clix's org Exet picked up the team of Muzz, Trashy, Edgy, and who's the last one? Ritual. They've been the team that's been dominating NA the most, and they got picked up by Exet. So it looks like those guys, have found themselves a nice little home. So congrats to them. The only actual interesting thing that I saw when it comes to like all these org things, I think a bunch of other orgs have been picked up, a bunch of other orgs have been established already. But we saw Carmine Court actually picked up Anas last minute go because apparently Swizzy couldn't get a visa in time to go and play. So that is again a bit of a weird situation. But congrats to Anas. When this game first came out, I thought Anas was going to be like one of the most valuable players to be picked up because this just screams. Anas, like this whole thing screams Anas is about to hit a quick lick.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You can't win $1 million. So what's the point in Anas playing?
It's only $750,000.
Fair enough. But if you include the money for qualifiers as well, like in total,
it is
make $1 million. No?
But he can't make another level of millionaire.
Okay, fair enough.
No, why do that when you can just get a PewDiePie follow or something for some Russian guy? Like
it's so random. I still get DMs on Instagram of people like Russian people who are clearly like really badly translating, Russian into English. Saying, do you know Anas? Can you like get me in contact with Anas?
I get the same thing, And
I'm like, didn't this competition end months ago? Like, why do they want to talk to Anas?
I've seen it so far as the people like, okay, dude, this guy is gonna give out $500,000. If you contact Anas for me, bro, I'll give you 5,000. Motherfucker, what do you mean 5,000? I mean, it's obviously gonna. I mean, I would have been down for that. It's obviously, I think it's for this KC squad. I mean, they just lost to Ferox's team yesterday when they've been looking like one of the most dominant teams in EU. So it's definitely hurting them as much as it pains to say that Anas is hurting that team. But I mean, you have a literal FNtasia winner that you're dropping now for someone that probably isn't as motivated anymore, unfortunately. So, but in terms of the conditions of that deal, for those that haven't seen it, Anas is stepping in just for Dallas, I believe. And then if they do qualify to the Esports World Cup, then Swizzy will be going back into that squad again.
Okay.
But it is worrying for Swizzy visa situation wise because we have globals in September. You know, like how is that situation going to look out for him? Because Malabuka has been completely fine with everything. I don't know. He must have a crazy
his lawyer.
His lawyer is Jayoma or something. Bro.
Malabuka's immigration lawyer is actually Jayoma, bro. 100%. Yeah, no, that's the reason why I was a bit concerned about that, because it's like if you can't get a visa to America for this, I mean, yeah, they have more time. They have until September to sort it out for globals, but that could be a worry.
I spoke to Swizzy after his FNCS win a couple of times in the DMs just to ask him stuff, and he is absolutely certain that he will be being paid for winning FNCS this time. So and getting his payouts and things like that. So he's obviously diligent enough to figure out these kind of things now after losing out on 100K last year. So I would imagine that not being able to get the visa for US is just purely on like short-term basis. And now that he's punched his ticket through to globals, I'm sure I wouldn't think it's worth. But the interesting part about that is now that we have org integration, there's almost like you can just swap a player out if he quals. Like, what is the rules on swapping Anas in and being able to put Swizzy? Because like he could just essentially Swizzy could qualify through to the Esports World Cup without ever playing.
Yeah,
and also for other teams as well. It's like, let's say, for example, you qualify to Saudi, right? But one of your players is underperforming. What are the rules between just swapping one out and just getting one of the better players who didn't qualify? Let's say there's a universe where somehow Fredoxy and Thomas's team doesn't qualify. Like, there's going to be so many teams where it's just like, well, why don't I just pick up them? Why don't I just pick up some of their players and just put them in my squad? Where are the rules behind it?
I think there's a roster lock rule that they changed. So you were meant to have a roster lock for your org prior to Dallas, but they moved it slightly ahead because a lot of the players didn't want to get signed because they were getting shitty offers from orgs, because obviously you don't want to sign an org that's not guaranteed qualified to Saudi, because then you're just losing out your investment. So I guess that's just a roster lock. I don't think there's much rules behind it. It's very shoddy.
ESL shoddy Fortnite hosting. No,
so
Boop, you can't say that.
I'm not saying that because I want to get viewing party access this weekend. So I'm not saying that at all. I don't condone this messaging from me. But I will call out one thing, and I saw someone in the chat also called it out. And it was the I don't know, deplorable is the right way to say it, but I think this maybe so. But like the weird waves of that Fnatic and Loud have signed their rosters now for ESL, or going to sign their rosters. And to me, it feels almost predatory in terms of the way that they are trying to collect a roster for ESL. So for those of you that haven't seen it, is basically they've hosted a tournament where if you win the tournament, you get to sign to Fnatic. Sick. But then they fly you out to Dallas to qualify for the Esports World Cup. But it sounds like that's pretty much it. Like, you don't get a salary. Like, you sign to Fnatic and they fly you out and that's it. From what I heard from Rise is you get bonuses associated to your placements in order to get money, but you don't actually get a salary. And when people are out there being paid, $3,000 to $10,000 per month by these orgs, you're getting shafted. So I thought that was a bit of a weird way to approach it, saying very cheap.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Another sort of weird thing that could end up being a situation that I was thinking about is like, with a bunch of these players moving to NA, and this specifically more so just applies to Veno, was what I was thinking about. If Carmine Corp don't qualify and at Dallas and Veno's in NA, he's gonna have to play the online qualifiers from NA on 120 ping while they're playing EU qualifiers. Like, even that in itself is like a gamble of like, what happens then? Like, if he just doesn't, will they now sub him out and say, oh, now let's get Anas back in because we picked him? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, it's all a weird situation, but we will be watching DreamHack. So hopefully next pod we can actually give you some interesting. Hopefully everything runs smoothly and we can have a good conversation about ESL. None of the conversations have been too great so far.
At least
so
keys can't be leaked. At least that's an improvement from last year.
Not right now.
I mean, you just invite the other guy to your pod.
It shouldn't be too hard to run this smoothly. But yeah, is there anything? Am I missing anything else? Is there anything else we got to touch up on before we wrap up today?
I mean, we have Eval Cup tomorrow, so maybe we get changes to the meta. I don't know if there's an update tomorrow, but like maybe all of what we just said about Fistin, Nitro, and everything else might be for nothing. But we have 19 days into FNCS, so tick tock.
It's coming quick, right?
Yeah. Quick. This is the season where I was like, I'm going to grind one more season. Me and DJ were going to go in. And I saw that meta on day one. I was like, I ain't fucking playing ranked today, bro. We played it on Saturday. It was good fun. I was like, this is zero practice. I'm glad that the custom, like the competitive mode settings in so we can like scrim if need be. But I was like, does that mean I now have to scrim in order to get some form of practice in rather than just playing Car Simulator?
Can you stream yourself playing scrims? I need to watch this. This is...
So, I mean... No.
Reese will not be playing scrims on stream. Understand?
Or just probably playing scrims.
Well, at all.
It's not likely. So this will be a fun season to grind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, other than not playing scrims, what else you got lined up this week? Mini minor. Reese,
oh my God. If you look at my name, it's the Big Dog.
Sorry, my bad. The Big Dog. What you got going on? My bad.
First video of the season is going to come out this week, so I'm basically going to arguing with a bunch of furries for my video.
1v100.
1v100. Sunday, yeah.
You know, you get those videos. It's like, can Peter Bot beat 99 bronze players? That's basically what the video is going to be. But me arguing with casuals. No, I'm going to actually, as much as I'm made fun of them, I'm trying to actually approach that topic sensitively, being like, I know you guys have no brain cells, but here's why this actually doesn't make any sense. What you're saying.
This is why you have no brain cells.
Yes. No,
yeah, because we know people love being told why they're dumb. We know that's
exactly.
Great idea.
So I feel like that's a valuable way to spend my time, to tell people, you know what, running through builds actually isn't good for Fortnite. I know it sounds crazy.
You should try going undercover on Twitter and like join the furries, you know? And it's like, I've infiltrated the furry hideout and they're talking about zero build. Yeah. And this is what happened. I think that'd be a great YouTube.
Yeah, do you think they're talking about it in their furry group chat?
Yeah.
Definitely, bro.
There's a Facebook group, sure.
So there was a comment I got earlier, which was, I hope they buff the cars because fuck this guy in particular. Like, literally, it was like a retweet of my post. It's like there's like a genuine just like hatred of like the competitive community.
You are gonna get.
You're not safe on the streets anymore.
Wow. Not safe for the streets, bro. If I see someone with big ears and a tail, I'm gonna turn the other way and run, man. Yeah, exactly.
The tail's gonna come up. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's insane.
And what does a furry do when they go into a fight? You know, like
bark.
Are they gonna bite you?
They're gonna run away from me, bro. I'm like,
Reese is too good at that bark. He's definitely.
I know.
What is happening to this podcast when we're just barking at each other now?
We've gone off the rails.
This one's been a bit different. So yeah, that's what my week's gonna look like.
Nice, man.
There's no point saying what anyone else is doing because
we can't really top that.
What are you guys doing?
Well, Harry, what you got planned over this week?
Coaching, streaming, the usual stuff, and trying to figure out what is competitive about this meta. But yeah, that's basically it. It's just good. Finally have some tournaments, as you said, tomorrow. It'll be good to watch and see a bunch of fisting, so should be good.
Levin, what are you doing?
I'm gonna be playing Fortnite, I think. I wanted to get on the grind again. Me and Mini Miner, we've been grinding, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, maybe we'll start scrimming because rank doesn't seem to be the angle. I've been messaging every noble mod to get me in Div 3, but they're all too loyal to Boop. They always say, can't do that. It has to be Boop, can't do that. So yeah, I've not been able to sneak my way in there, but we'll figure something out, I'm sure. And then we'll stay on the grind. Outside of that, content-wise, just nothing too interesting. Just more podcasts, more everything. What is up, Boop?
It's been we're watching a lot of scrims. I think there's a Noble X session happening after this with all the big boys playing. Including like off-stream clicks, which is going to be interesting to see how chat's going to be watching that. Watch clicks. Pretty much. And then, hopefully we get viewing party access for ESL this weekend. We might have to delete this VOD. And, that's it. And then it's the grind into FNCS, trying to find stuff to do, to watch. So. watch a lot more NA now. So you know, we've finally been converted. So
definitely going to be watching a lot more NA myself as well. So should be fun. But yeah, no, good to chat to you guys as always. We'll be back next week with updates on ESL and updates on the season and whatnot, and some fun segments as well. Because yeah, we're running out of content before FNTS. But should be good. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Have a lovely, lovely day.